Chapter 583. Brothers with monthly votes, please help me. I'm running out of monthly votes. Life essence, reconstruct my bones. Reconstruct my body. Source of life, merge with my body. Protect my body. Tion screamed madly in his heart. Source of life flew out one after another. He did not even need to swallow them. They just rushed into his body. 100 of them in a row. All of them rushed into his body. Source of life. Every single one of them was an unparalleled treasure formed by the condensation of countless life energy. Usually, a single one of them would cause countless experts to fight over it. But now, these incomparably precious source of life had appeared one after another. And they were all being sent into his body without hesitation. If anyone else were to see this, they would probably be heartbroken. But Tion did not waver in the slightest. Source of life may be precious, but compared to his own body and his own life, they were the most insignificant of existences. No matter how precious an external object was, if he lost his life, then what was the use of it? In the mortal world, emperors had 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, 72 concubines, and endless wealth and power. But after 100 years, they would just turn into a pile of dirt. They could only occupy a space of a few feet. No matter how precious an external object was, it could not be taken away. Only eternal life, only eternal immortality. That was the most important goal in the world. As long as he could stay alive, source of life was nothing. But Tion had other ideas. Grand Emperor Heaven Shrouding, Yang Qi said, you crushed my bones, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you can force my quintessence energy out of me, then I can use my life force essence seed to strengthen my bones. Who knows, I might be able to refine an indestructible skeleton this time. An indestructible skeleton. Tion's mind flashed with crazy ideas. Unknowingly, he thought back to the indestructible skeleton of the tiger ancestor he had found years ago. Even after tens of thousands of years, it was still indestructible. It had created a peerless demon blade, the tiger soul. Its sharpness was so strong that even precious treasures could not break it. If he had an indestructible skeleton, how could great Emperor Shrouding Heaven have so easily crushed his bones? He made up his mind. In his body, as soon as the 100 source seeds of life appeared, they immediately began to melt, and quickly released pure and rich life essence. Haha, lunatic D, you're right. This might really be a good opportunity for you to create an indestructible body skeleton. When the bones are broken, it gives you a chance to reconstruct it. Grand Emperor Shroud Heaven would never have guessed that you would have so many life force seeds. Underworld shouted excitedly. Fortune and misfortune came hand in hand. When one's bones were shattered, it was also accompanied by a rare opportunity. It all depended on whether one could grasp it. Sculpt my bones. Tion focused all of his attention on his body. He could see that there was a mass of green essence chi flowing out from his body, spreading to every corner of his body. All of them contained the purest life energy. However, essence chi was still essence chi. Tion focused his mind. He quickly circulated his essence chi and sent it to his left leg. He saw that there was bone marrow powder everywhere in his leg that had been crushed into powder. It was as small as a speck of dust. As soon as the essence chi entered his leg, the powder began to glow with rich life force again, and slowly began to fuse together. During this process, the essence chi continued to cleanse and refine the bone. With the support of the essence chi, the bone began to form inch by inch. First was the toe. The powder quickly solidified, and the bone began to glow with a jade-like light. Vaguely, the bones that were being molded were actually jade bones. Moreover, as soon as the bones were molded, a huge amount of life essence immediately rushed into them. The molded bones were like bottomless pits, crazily devouring life essence. With every bit that was devoured, One could clearly feel that the bones were constantly growing stronger at a speed visible to the naked eye. The jade-like light on its surface began to grow stronger. Good, good, good! Golden-fleshed jade bones. This is the manifestation of the indestructible body. Once the bone is formed, with the power of your 100 source seeds of life, you'll be able to create an indestructible bone. Ming shouted encouragingly from the side. As long as the bone was not destroyed, the bone marrow could be created, and the bone marrow could be used to replace the demon blood in the body. Then, the flesh and blood could be refined, and the demon veins could be refined. At that time, the speed of advancing the demon body to the indestructible body would be 10 times or even 100 times faster. The benefits were immeasurable. Di Tian did not get distracted. He focused all his attention on the bone formation. Bones were being formed inch by inch in his body. At the same time, the originally soft body began to recover its strength with the support of the bones. The blood was flowing, and the power contained in the flesh and blood was accumulating. The huge amount of essence chi burst out with a vast power. It rushed to the demon mountain. Immediately, the entire demon mountain let out a violent roar. The earth was shaking outside. Tian, is that you? How are you now? She rushed to the front of the demon mountain and looked at it, trying to find a crack. However, after the tremor, as the bones were being formed, the potential burst out and surged on the demon mountain, causing it to shake continuously. However, it could not lift the demon mountain. Huluzi looked at the 5-fingered demon mountain, and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. He said in surprise, "He can still burst out with such power under the suppression of the 5-fingered demon mountain. Looks like this brat called Di Tian. His cultivation was indeed not simple. If I didn't see wrongly, that slap had already smashed all the bones in his body into powder. He can't use all his strength. And now, could it be that he's rebuilding his bones?" Looking at the waves of terrifying power that burst out from the ground, other than this, they could not think of any other possibility. Looks like Shi-Er's husband is really a genius. A thought flashed through Huluzi's mind. However, when he looked at Chen Shi, his expression dimmed slightly. Shi-Er, this 5-fingered demonic mountain contains boundless power. Even if you shout outside, you won't be able to hear your voice since you're suppressed below. Moreover, looking at the situation, your husband won't be in any danger for the time being. Even if there is danger, we can only plan for the long term. Moreover, you should see your mother. There was a hint of melancholy in his voice. Mother? What happened to my mother? She was smart and immediately caught the hint of melancholy. A bad feeling appeared in his heart, and he quickly asked, "Come with me and you will know." Huluzi did not seem to want to say it clearly on the spot, and only said in a low voice, "This, Chen." She looked at the 5-fingered demon mountain hesitantly. The 5-fingered demon mountain was still shaking. It seemed that although it was suppressed, there was no danger to his life. Moreover, he could not lift the demon mountain now. It was useless to stay here. After thinking for a while, he gritted his teeth and nodded. "Okay, uncle, I will go with you to see my mother." After saying that, he turned to Chihua and the others. "You guys guard the 5-fingered demon mountain. If there are any changes, inform me immediately. Obey the demon empress orders." The 4 armies agreed and divided into 4 groups to guard the 4 directions of the 5-fingered demon mountain. They also paid close attention to the demon mountain's movements. Immediately, Chensi reluctantly left for the time being. The rumbling sounds from the Devil Mountain continued unceasingly. Faintly, there was a terrifying sound of thunder ringing out. 1 day, 2 days, in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. The shaking of the 5-fingered demon mountain did not stop for a moment, and it was still shaking continuously. It was as if it had become a habit. Chihua looked at the demon mountain, and his gaze was unusually firm. He muttered to himself, "His Majesty must be thinking of a way to leave the demon mountain now. That's right. With His Majesty's great talent and great vision, there is absolutely no place in the world that can trap His Majesty. He wants to suppress a mere demon mountain for 500 years. His Majesty will lift it up sooner or later. In Kong's eyes were unusually sharp, but his confidence in Di Shirtian did not weaken at all. He did not panic because the demon mountain was suppressing Di Shirtian. He had incomparable confidence in him. In their eyes, as long as His Majesty wanted to do something, there was nothing he could not do. He could even plunder the myriad treasure Crimson Tide. How could he be defeated by a mere demon mountain? Rumble! Suddenly, the demon mountain that had been shaking for a month suddenly stopped, and it became strangely calm. For a moment, the hearts of the 4 legions guarding the surroundings tightened. They had a feeling that something inconceivable was about to happen. All armies, listen to my order. Retreat immediately. All of a sudden, the 4 legions retreated and left the Devil Mountain. Because that sentence was uttered by Di Shirtian. Reconstruct the jade bones, the bones are indestructible. My demonic body has become more than 10 times stronger. Watch me lift this demon mountain. Suppressed under the mountain, Di Shirtian's eyes shone with divine light. His entire body was suffused with a kind of treasure light. In his body, the bones had been completely condensed. If one could see them, they would realize that the bones were crystal clear, emitting a jade light, and contained an endless amount of vitality. It was like the most magical art in the world. It was perfect. Indestructible body. This was the indestructible body, a part of the immortal body. The bones were exactly the same as the bones of the experts who had cultivated the indestructible body. They also had the powerful ability of indestructible. It was so hard that even a divine weapon could not cut it. Even if it was crushed, it could be recovered instantly. It was unusually strong. After the bones were reconstructed, the injuries in his body also recovered instantly. His internal organs became incomparably strong. The blood in his body was transforming bit by bit. The blood contained a huge amount of power. Rise. Di Shirtian's eyes shone with divine light, emitting a terrifying light. He suddenly burst out, and his hands supported the demon mountain above his head. The muscles all over his body were surging crazily like a dragon. It was full of explosive power. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 584. Bang! Stepping on the ground, he raised his hands above his head to support the Devil Mountain. The muscles all over his body moved continuously like dragons. Waves of power kept surging out from his flesh. A vast amount of power burst out. Once again, his skeleton was formed. Moreover, it was the indestructible skeleton that only indestructible bodies had. The aura emitted from the source of life was condensed in his flesh, causing the strength of his entire body to be close to that of a great demon. Every inch of his skin glowed faintly. The blood in his body had started to transform into a light gold color. Once the blood transformation was completed, he would be closer to the indestructible body. Rise! Sakra took a deep breath and roared. He stomped on the ground and pushed Devil Mountain up. He stood up and straightened his back. The black hair behind his head danced crazily. His entire body emitted a fierce and domineering aura. He was like a terrifying demon god. He wanted to push the entire 5-fingered Devil Mountain up. Boom, boom, boom. Di Shirtian's eruption of power was more than 10,000 caddies. It was like a volcanic eruption. Even the blue veins on his arms could be seen clearly. The demon body pushed the Devil Mountain up and started to grow rapidly. Bigger, bigger, bigger. The demon body was expanding at a speed visible to the naked eye. 1,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet, the entire demon body was growing rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it had grown to 15,000 feet. Stepping on the ground and holding the Devil Mountain up, it was like a demon god was supporting the entire world. A light puff of air could turn into a terrifying hurricane, and a single step could cause the earth to tremble and the mountains to shake. The words that came out of his mouth were like thunder. He lifted the Devil Mountain up. His Majesty! It's His Majesty! Chihua's eyes were filled with excitement. Even the five-fingered Devil Mountain was lifted up by His Majesty. I knew it. How could a mere Devil Mountain suppress His Majesty? Kong said excitedly. The 4 legions and 1,200,000 elite soldiers were all staring at the Devil Mountain with burning eyes. They seemed to be waiting for their king to break the Devil Mountain in one fell swoop and break free. Once again, he would lead them to dominate the world. The pressure was everywhere. Boom, boom, boom. Of course, Great Emperor Shroud Heaven's seal wasn't something that could be broken so easily. Not even the heavenly demon, the bottle gourd, was strong enough to break Devil Mountain. At this moment, Di Shirtian's aura was unparalleled. He was indomitable, and was about to tear the 5 fingers Devil Mountain apart. His demonic body expanded violently, growing to 15,000 feet tall. He was like a giant that pierced through the clouds. However, when he grew up, he saw that the originally 10,000-meter tall Demon Mountain also began to expand at a speed visible to the naked eye. As he grew, so did the Demon Mountain. When Di Shirtian reached a height of 10,000 meters, the martial Devil Mountain had already transformed into a terrifying mountain peak that was tens of thousands of meters tall. Boundless energy gushed forth endlessly from the Devil Mountain, landing on Di Shirtian. Crack! Under this terrifying pressure, every muscle in his body trembled violently. Even his bones emitted an unpleasant cracking sound. Within the Devil Mountain, there was a force that wanted to crush him completely. If Di Shirtian could lift millions of kilograms of weight, then the force coming from the Devil Mountain was at least billions of kilograms. Especially under the Devil Mountain, the entire space seemed to be locked down in an instant. He couldn't move an inch. It was as if the entire world was pressing down on him. Fighting against the Devil Mountain was like fighting against the entire world. Great Emperor Shroud Heaven, you and I cannot exist under the same sky. Open! Di Shirtian's face revealed a hint of madness. Divine light burst forth as he roared. Between his brows, the heavenly punishment divine eye opened. The purple gold eyes were like the heavenly Tao that looked down on all living beings. Crack! A ray of divine light shot out from the heavenly punishment divine eye. The divine light of annihilation slammed into the Devil Mountain. The destructive power of annihilation caused the Devil Mountain to tremble violently. Demonic chi burst out from the Devil Mountain, and a terrifying hole appeared on the mountain. The heavenly punishment divine eye was about to pierce through the Devil Mountain. Great destruction! The Devil Mountain shook, and countless demonic lights flashed. A terrifying devil god 3,000 feet tall stood on the 5-fingered Devil Mountain, exuding a vast amount of demonic chi. He glanced at the Devil Mountain under his feet, and the illusory Great Destruction spear in his hand shot directly at Di Shirtian. The spear strangely passed through the Devil Mountain. It didn't cause any damage. The spear stabbed directly at Di Shirtian. 7 sins demonic zither. The thick earth bears all things, and I stand on the earth. I have infinite power. The origin of earth, protect me. Unbreakable defense. Di Shirtian's heart went crazy. The 7 sins demonic zither flew out from the top of his head. On the zither, the earth-yellow spiritual pearl immediately glowed with divine light. It turned into strands of silk that hung down. In the blink of an eye, a large earth-yellow bell was formed around him. It seemed to be illusory but also real. Protect the body. Boom! The spear hit the bell. Suddenly, the power of great destruction and the origin of earth collided. The explosive power instantly annihilated everything around and turned them into dust. The illusory great destruction spear and the bell disappeared at the same time. The divine light on the 7 sins suddenly dimmed. It seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. Crack! Boom! The Devil Mountain was filled with terrifying power in an instant. Countless demons flew around and thousands of demonic chi raged. The power of the entire heaven and earth gathered on the Devil Mountain. The power that erupted suppressed Di Shirtian on the spot. The Devil Mountain, which was lifted high, fell to the ground with a loud bang. It merged with the earth again, as if it had taken root. A terrifying devil mark appeared on each of the 5 fingers of the Devil Mountain. It was as if there was a great principle contained in the demonic patterns. It was filled with the great destruction intent. This Devil Mountain is connected to heaven and earth. If you push the Devil Mountain, it's equivalent to pushing the entire heaven and earth. The power of the entire demon realm is gathered on this Devil Mountain. If you want to lift the mountain, it's equivalent to lifting the entire demon realm. Hiss! My goodness, that great emperor is indeed a ruthless person. It's obvious that he wants to suppress you here. Without the cultivation of a heavenly demon, you can't open the Devil Mountain. Dark felt the restrictive power around him. It was from the entire heaven and earth. He couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. There's a great destruction demon god suppressing the mountain. He's comparable to a heavenly demon, and with the 5 fingers Devil Mountain as his backing, his power is almost endless. Outside can't save us. Vicious. Too vicious. The great Emperor of Heaven shrouding clearly wanted to completely suppress Di Shirtian here. He had calculated all kinds of possibilities, including the possibility of him lifting the mountain if he recovered. The Devil Mountain was even more terrifying than the 5 fingers Devil Mountain. The void was sealed, and there was no way to leave this place through the void. The Devil Mountain had merged with heaven and earth. Going against the Devil Mountain was equivalent to going against the entire demon realm. It would definitely be suppressed. Even if a heavenly demon was in his situation, they would be helpless against him. He could only watch as he was suppressed. Humph! Di Shirtian snorted coldly. His body had already turned into the size of a normal person. Outside his body was an oval-shaped cave. It was like a sealed secret chamber, firmly trapping him in this narrow space. I refuse to believe he can really trap me. Come out, Linglong Treasure Pagoda. With a wave of his hand, the Linglong Treasure Pagoda appeared above his head, emitting a purplish-golden light, giving off a mysterious aura. He stubbornly said, "Today, I will enter the Linglong Treasure Pagoda. Since the Devil Mountain is suppressing me, I don't believe that the Linglong Treasure Pagoda can't escape." He thought to himself, and without hesitation, entered the Linglong Treasure Pagoda. Without any hesitation, he entered the pagoda without a hitch. The pagoda flew into the air, and with a shake of its body, ripples spread out in all directions. It was about to escape the Devil Mountain. Bang! However, the space around the Linglong Treasure Pagoda seemed to have turned into an invisible barrier. Every inch of space was filled with countless terrifying shackles that solidified the entire space, turning it into the most terrifying barrier that was incomparably hard. The Linglong Treasure Pagoda hit the void, as if there were countless terrifying ropes that were tied around the Linglong Treasure Pagoda, making it difficult to move. How insidious! Di Shirtian appeared from the Linglong Treasure Pagoda again. His gaze swept across the surroundings, and a cold glint appeared in his eyes. How could he not know that this time, he was completely imprisoned in this bullshit Devil Mountain? It was really difficult to move, and he was really going to be suppressed here for 500 years. This kind of imprisonment with his strength could not be shaken at all. Humph! His eyes flashed crazily for a long time. Finally, it was replaced by a cold and meaningful look. He looked at the sky with cold arrogance and suddenly shouted, "For great armies, listen to my order. Subordinate is here." With a crash, the army of 1.2 million responded in unison. At the same time, they knelt down on one knee in the direction of the Devil Mountain, and their faces revealed a serious expression. Their expressions were solemn. Immediately withdraw from the 5 Fingers Devil Mountain, find the Demon Empress, and follow her. Listen to her orders. A mere Devil Mountain is not enough to trap me. After a few days, I will naturally break out of the mountain and fight with you on the battlefield again. Shirtian said coldly. This, Chi-Hor and the others showed a hint of hesitation in their eyes. However, due to their supreme confidence in Shirtian, they still agreed, "We will obey His Majesty's order. Today, I will be suppressed by the 5 Fingers Devil Mountain. When I break out in the future, I will wash the sky with the blood of the Sky Demon, pave the road with the flesh of the Demon God, and build a monument with the flesh of the Demon God. When I break out of the mountain, I will use the rain of blood as a sacrifice. The demons will weep in grief." Shirtian muttered a sentence, and his voice echoed in the battlefield. It emitted a strange aura. It was like a prophecy but also like a confidence. "Lunatic D, how do you want to break out of this Devil Mountain?" Dark asked hesitantly. "Build the 1,000 Demon City." Sakra calmly spat out a sentence. With a wave of his hand, the exquisite pagoda instantly enlarged and stood in the middle of the Devil Mountain, supporting it. His body swayed and he entered the pagoda. Monthly votes. We are going to move the mountain. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 585. In the pagoda, everything was normal. Although outside, the Demon Mountain suppressed the entire world, and even the Linglong Pagoda was bound in the Demon Mountain, unable to move, let alone penetrate the void, which was equivalent to being completely imprisoned under the Demon Mountain. However, it was only the outside that was imprisoned. It had no effect on the inside of the pagoda. The time and space in the pagoda still operated freely. Time reversed 10 times, 50 times, 100 times, 100 times, 150 times. The 4 layers of heaven and earth operated as usual, and were not even affected by the Demon Mountain's imprisonment. In the pagoda, in the first layer of heaven, there were a total of 30 million spirit beasts. Each of them desperately absorbed the power of heaven and earth, and worked hard to promote to demon beasts. These spirit beasts were all ordinary races that migrated from the Sky Demon's secret realm, plus the birds and beasts of the southern barbarian. Together, they obtained these 30 million spirit beasts. As soon as they were promoted to demon beasts, they would be sent to the Jade Pool and forced to transform. They would officially step onto the path of demon cultivation. In the second layer of heaven, it was the place where demon beasts cultivated. Time reversed 50 times. They were also working hard, not wasting any time to absorb the power of heaven and earth. They strived to condense their own inner core. Here, although most of them had transformed into human form, they had not condensed their inner core. There were a total of 10 million such demons. In the third layer of heaven, there were demons who had condensed their inner core. There were also 10 million of them. They were not cultivating. Instead, they were walking around nervously. They were carrying all kinds of things in their hands. The magnificent demon ancient city suppressed the center. In the ancient city, millions of monster clan members were like ants, moving things one by one to every corner of the ancient city. A large number of divine crystals were quickly placed in the necessary places, covering the embryonic membrane of the ancient city. The divine crystals merged with the embryonic membrane, and the ancient city slowly emerged from the illusory world, becoming a real thing. It was continuous, almost without a moment of rest. The entire demon race was doing their best to dedicate all their strength to the ancient city in front of them. Looking at the ancient city, the divine crystals on the ground had already covered nearly half of the ancient city. The ancient and mysterious color rendered the ancient city incomparably magical. On the divine crystals, Countless lines crisscrossed, interweaving into pictures that contained the truth. Tion entered the third layer of heaven. He stood in the air above the demon city. It was as if the ground had been leveled. He wore a cold black robe and his black hair danced in the wind. His face was dignified without being angry. Just by standing there casually, the majesty of an emperor was instantly revealed. He swept his gaze across the ancient city. Within the city, all the monsters were silent. She looked at him quietly. "Ladies and gentlemen," Tion said in a deep voice, "we demon folk are born and nurtured by the heavens, and all living things are free to compete in the heavens. Fighting against the heavens, fighting against the earth, breaking free from the shadows of thousands of living beings. In ancient times, they were revered as the overlords of heaven and earth. Although there were hundreds of races living together, they had supreme status. What do you rely on? Never give up." Old Fox's eyes lit up, and he immediately yelled at the top of his voice. "Never give up. Never stop striving for self-improvement. Never stop striving for self-improvement." At the same time, the group of demons also began to chant fanatically. There seemed to be a kind of magic in those words that made them feel as if they had personally witnessed the glory of the monster clan in ancient times. The position of supreme overlord. With a single order, no one dared to disobey. He was very proud of his identity. The heavens move vigorously, and the noblemen strive for self-improvement. The demon clan should have the will to constantly strive for self-improvement. Fighting against the heavens, fighting against the earth, and fighting against our lives. Even if we die, we will die standing. We will never live kneeling. Tion looked at the void with a deep gaze and said proudly, "Now, the demon god clan is suppressing me with the five-fingered demon mountain. They want to imprison me and wait for 500 years before I stretch out my neck and commit suicide. I, Tion, am not a person who will sit and wait for death to come. I want to break the demon mountain, I want to slaughter thousands of demon gods, I want to wash away my shame with the blood of demons. My sons and daughters, do you have the courage to fight side by side with me?" Tion's voice went from low to high, and it became louder and louder, more and more excited. At the end of his words, it turned into a roar that shook the heavens. This roar could shake one's soul. The group of demons couldn't help but feel their blood boil. They were all fanatical to the extreme. "I am willing to use my blood to cast your majesty's supreme majesty." The chorus of shouts gave the entire demon city an indescribable aura. Build the demon city. Once the demon city is complete, it will follow me to the myriad world. I want to set up another pavilion called the Lingshao Pavilion. Anyone who has made a supreme contribution to the demon city can create a statue and send it to the pavilion. They will be worshipped by countless demons. Those who have made indelible contributions can draw a portrait and send it to the pavilion. I will set up an altar. It will be called the Demon Sacrificial Altar. There will be a monument on the altar called the Heroic Soul Monument. Anyone who dies on the battlefield for the demon city will have their name imprinted on the monument. Eternal glory. Tion once again threw out a sentence that shook the hearts of the demons. I want to cast the Lingshao Pavilion and the Demon Sacrificial Altar with the flesh and blood of the Demon God clan. Do you have the courage to take it with me? Dare, dare, dare. The blood in the hearts of the demons was completely stimulated. One by one, they shouted crazily. Demons! They had to fight against the heavens, the earth, and their lives. Whoever blocked in front of them would be killed. If the demon god clan blocked in front of them, then they would use the flesh and blood of the demon god to build the altar. If it was the heavens, then they would shatter the heavens. What they wanted was this fearless, never-say-die, unyielding blood and willpower. Build the city! Tion softly spat out a sentence. The demons suddenly seemed to have endless power in their bodies and began to enter their positions, refining divine crystals, transporting divine crystals, setting up arrays, countless restrictions, and so on. It was done in an orderly manner. The speed of construction was accelerated by nearly 30% again. In this pagoda, 1 day was equivalent to 100 days outside in the third level. The abundant time was completely reflected in the construction of the city. How is the casting of the terracotta army? He turned his head and began to ask about the progress of the terracotta army, whose eyes flashed with a strange light. When he described the Lingshao pavilion before, he couldn't help but have a great desire in his heart. Send it to the pavilion and receive countless offerings, and it could be immortal. What an incredible honor it was to be immortalized for thousands of years and spread throughout the heavens and realms. His heart also began to move. Your Majesty, please rest assured. The 100,000 terracotta army models have been cast. However, it will take at least 10 years to complete. At that time, Your Majesty will have the world's most powerful heavenly soldiers and generals, who said respectfully, "Okay, I'll wait for another 10 years. Di Shirtian nodded thoughtfully. 10 years in the middle was only 1 or 2 months outside. It could disappear in the blink of an eye. Since he was imprisoned and couldn't leave. Then he could take this opportunity to cultivate in seclusion and completely break through the various barriers in the 5th demon vein. Completely refining the divine essence. Completely connecting it with the other 4 demon veins. Smoothly connecting them together. When I leave the mountain again, I want to shock the heavens and earth." Di Shirtian waved his hand and turned to walk into the 4th level. Inside, there was a 150-fold time reversal. A day outside was 150 days inside. In less than 3 days, a year had passed here. If he was really suppressed for 500 years, at least tens of thousands of years would have passed inside. But how could he be willing to be suppressed? If he wasn't suppressed, only strength, powerful strength, could reverse all of this. Crazy D, you have to wait for the ancient city of demons to be built before using the ancient city to crash into the demon mountain. Shatter the demon mountain? How could Ming not guess his thoughts? However, he said worriedly, your idea is indeed good. The ancient city is completely forged with divine crystals that are not in the 5 elements and are extremely hard. In addition, the powerful restrictions in the God sealing ball and the array restrictions that countless array masters have put into the city can make the ancient city extremely powerful. However, the 4 heavenly gates still lack 4 types of divine stones. If we can't truly unleash their extreme power, I'm afraid there will be some mistake. The biggest problem was the 4 heavenly gates. He couldn't get the real one, and the fake one lacked the most important part. The power would definitely be greatly reduced. I will blast open the gate of the 5th level. I hope that there is a treasure vault in the 5th level. With the vast collection of the heavenly demon treasure vault, I might be able to find a portion of the divine stones. Looking up at the sky, the gate of the 5th level was still tightly shut. It blocked the way forward. However, before that, I need to condense the Dharma power. Qi Tian unleashed the power of the Dharma power. The power that erupted from his attack was actually comparable to that of a heavenly demon. Comparable to a demon emperor. Especially when this power was completely under his control. Even if he could only use it once and couldn't continue fighting, it still had an unparalleled deterrent power. Once condensed, it could even help refine the immortal body. Immortal body. Crazy D, I was right about you. Even in your current situation, you still haven't lost your mind. Yes, in this world, the most important thing is strength. If you have strength, you are a supreme being. If your cultivation is low, you will be humiliated. During this period, you can cultivate well and stabilize your 5th transformation realm and condense the Dharma power. The time you lack can be made up for in this period of time. I want to fill you in with some common knowledge about cultivation. Only by laying a good foundation can you climb to the peak. Ming stroked his dragon beard and nodded in satisfaction. He was now wholeheartedly focusing all his energy on Di-Shirtion. When one falls, all falls. When one rises, all rises. This time, it could be considered an opportunity. Di-Shirtion didn't think too much. He walked to an open space and sat down cross-legged, immersing his mind in his body. He silently circulated his cultivation technique, channeling the royal true force to nourish his flesh and blood and refine his demon meridians. In his mind, he was also thinking about condensing the Dharma power. There were acupuncture points in the body of a living being. Acupuncture points contained the Tao of heaven and earth and the mysteries of life. Every acupoint was a place of good fortune. There could be a Dharma power overseeing it. Once the Dharma power was condensed, one could peek into the mysteries of the immortal body. It was the root of divine powers. At the limit, one could block natural disasters and life calamities. The number of acupuncture points, 1 was the least, and 9 was the limit. Every meridian could open at least 1 aperture, and at most 9 apertures. The more acupuncture points, the greater the potential and strength. Condense the Dharma power and establish the foundation of a heavenly demon. A series of words flowed through his mind like a tide. It nourished his mind. Monthly votes are in short supply. Help. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 586. He scanned his body with his mind. Sakra created his own unique skill, Huangji World Shocking Book, which could be said to be the one and only supreme skill in the world. It condensed the Emperor's Tao and the Tao of Desire into one, and after mastering it, it faintly surpassed the heaven realm. With the level of the skill, naturally, every time he stepped into a higher level, the acupoints that could be opened on the demon meridians in his body would also be the best in the world. He could open 9 imperial true acupoints. Now, he had cultivated the 5th volume of the Imperial Shocking Book. The first 4 volumes had been cultivated to perfection. Not only had he completely opened up his demon meridians and connected them to each other, but his acupoints had also been opened to perfection. He had opened up 9 acupoints in each of them. 4 by 9 meant 36 acupoints. Now, he had cultivated 2/3 of the 5th volume. He had opened up 6 acupoints. Adding them all together, there were already 42 imperial true apertures opened in Indra's body. I cultivate the Emperor's path and the path of desire. To condense the Dharma form, I must have abundant imperial purple chi and true dragon chi. And a huge amount of the power of desire. The power of desire is endless in the void. I can absorb it as I wish. However, if I want to obtain the imperial chi and true dragon chi, I need to find an imperial city to absorb it. Secondly, I can find the location of a dragon vein. Sakra secretly pondered in his mind. At the same time, he operated his cultivation technique to bring his body's condition to the peak of cultivation. However, although I don't have abundant imperial purple chi and dragon vein chi, I have this. Indra stretched out his finger and gently swiped it between his eyebrows. Suddenly, a dense purple light flashed in that purple mark. A lifelike true dragon immediately flew out from the eye of heaven's punishment and rapidly grew in size in an instant. It was 3,000 feet in front of him. This was a true dragon. The true dragon contained a huge amount of imperial chi and true dragon chi. It was lifelike, like a living creature. Its whole body was covered in a layer of dense chi. However, in its eyes there was no spirituality at all. It looked very dull. TSK. Crazy D, your luck is really unique. Now that the Thousand Fiend City had yet to be completed, they were unable to gather the monarch's aura and were trapped here. It was even more impossible to find the dragon vein. Fortunately, he managed to capture 2 of Zhu Wuqing's true dragon primordial spirit in the god-perishing abyss. With the vast amount of monarch aura within these 2 true dragons, It is enough for you to form more than one Dharma idol. The Emperor Qi here was simply too dense. As expected of the true dragon violet Qi gathered by the immortal Emperor dynasty. Furthermore, I've already wiped out the true dragon's consciousness. You can take the true dragon's Emperor's Qi as you please. Ming clicked her tongue and laughed strangely. She was excited by Di Shirtian's luck. Then, he shouted, maybe, with your current strength that is comparable to the peak of the great demon, and the potential of condensing the indestructible skeleton, you can raise your Dharma power to the profound level in one go. When the yellow tear Dharma idol was formed, the Dharma idol appeared extremely illusory and ethereal. Ordinary great demons could condense it. Once a profound level Dharma idol was formed, the Dharma idol could turn from illusory to corporeal, just like a real entity. Previously, the Dharma idol that the Blazing Sky Demon Emperor had displayed was a physical body. It was even more powerful. Normally, one would only be able to advance when they reached the Beast Saint level. When an Earth-level Dharma idol was formed, the Dharma idol would possess spirituality and could attack enemies on its own when released. It could suppress heaven and earth. It was vast and invincible. At this level, only heavenly demons could do it. A heaven-class Dharma idol was mysterious beyond compare. Once formed, the Dharma idol would have boundless divine abilities. It could block karmic tribulations and heavenly disasters. If one encountered a tribulation of death, one could sacrifice one of the Dharma idols to block the tribulation of death. It was equivalent to having multiple lives. This was an ability that only unparalleled powerhouses had. Therefore, generally speaking, it was almost impossible for unparalleled powerhouses to die. Standing at the peak of heaven and earth. Rest and recharge. 3 days later, Di Shirtian opened his closed eyes. There was a flash of light in his deep eyes. Absorb the true dragon and help me condense my Dharma idol. Di Shirtian looked at the true dragon in front of him. 2 rays of divine light shone on the true dragon. Roar. The true dragon, which was originally in a daze, suddenly had a flash of divine light in its eyes. Its 3,000 feet long body immediately emitted waves of divine light. It danced and rushed into the clouds, extending for 3,000 feet. A huge dragon head faced Di Shirtian. It opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of golden true dragon Qi, which landed on Di Shirtian's head. The top of his head opened like a whirlpool. It was bottomless. The descending true dragon Qi was continuously devoured into his body. Under Di Shirtian's control, the golden true dragon Qi quickly converged into the first imperial true aperture in his sorrow meridian. Boom! Boom! The inside of the imperial emperor's true aperture was like an empty void. There was nothing inside. However, there was a mysterious aura in the aperture. It was as if it possessed the mysteries of the beast body. As soon as the true dragon Qi poured in, it immediately entrenched itself in the aperture and turned into a ball of golden liquid that spiraled in the aperture. In the golden liquid, the majesty of an emperor was wantonly emitted. It faintly stirred the aperture and formed a mysterious connection with the entire imperial true aperture. Power of desire, listen to my command. Gather my body, the Tao of Emperor and the Tao of Desire. Merge into one and form the Dharma idol. Di Shirtian let out a shout in his mind. With a thought, he activated the vast power of desire in the void. In the void, a pitch-black cloud appeared out of thin air and spread out in an instant, covering the entire sky. It was so dark that it blocked all light. The cloud layer emitted all kinds of terrifying desires. As long as one looked at it, one's mind would be uncontrollably affected, and one's imagination would run wild. The power of desire of sorrow, joy, sight, taste, and anger surged and spiraled in the cloud of desire. This was precisely the 5 kinds of desires that Sakra had comprehended today that had been aroused by him. The vast power of desire swirled and turned into a funnel, and a huge amount of power of desire entered his body. It quickly rushed into the aperture. It spiraled and intertwined with the true dragon chi. Ultimate Emperor, I am the Emperor. Obey my command. 9 revolutions of the true aperture. Form the Dharma idol. In the aperture, there seemed to be a voice filled with supreme authority. At the same time, a snow-white jade cauldron suddenly appeared in the aperture space. On this jade cauldron, there were countless mysterious demonic patterns. It was the illusion of the demon refining cauldron. Buzz! The demon refining cauldron shook violently, and the lid flew into the air. A powerful devouring force appeared in the cauldron and swept through the entire aperture. On the spot, it swallowed the true dragon chi and power of desire that had surged into the aperture into the cauldron. With a bang, the cauldron lid fell, and the demon refining cauldron began to spin clockwise. As it spun, the entire aperture space twisted and spun with it. Moreover, the speed was not fast. As it spun, it moved the trajectory of heaven and earth. In the cauldron, the power of true dragon and power of desire intertwined and slowly merged with each other. Thump! Thump! In the cauldron, as it spun one after another, there was a strange sound that sounded like the beating of a heart. Every time, it would cause the entire aperture to beat. It was as if it was nurturing some kind of mysterious life. At this moment, if anyone could see it with their own eyes, they would see that all the true dragon chi and power of desire in the cauldron were refined into mysterious talismans. There were hundreds of millions of talismans in the cauldron. They were densely intertwined with each other. 9 revolutions. When the demon refining cauldron had driven the aperture to 9 revolutions. Bang! The cauldron lid was lifted. Roar! The moment the cauldron lid was lifted, all the talismans in the cauldron gathered together in a mysterious trajectory. Suddenly, a slightly illusory pitch-black divine tiger let out a roar that sounded like a tiger's roar and a dragon's roar. It was a domineering roar that could tear metal and stone apart. With a roar, it rushed out of the cauldron. Rumble! Divine light flashed on the black tiger's body. A mystical black tiger stood in the aperture space, emitting a pitch-black divine light. On its back, a pair of pitch-black wings spread open. The purple imperial pattern on its forehead flickered, and its body exuded a supreme emperor's aura. The most mystical thing was that, on this Dharma form, it was not pitch-black hair that was distributed all over its body. Instead, it was covered in tiny pitch-black scales. Dragon scales. Black dragon scales covered every part of its body, its wings, and every inch of its skin. The aura exuded from its body was mixed with the dragon chi and the tiger chi. This is the Dharma form that I condensed. Di Shirtian looked at the Dharma form that was born in the imperial true aperture and carefully scanned it in his mind. He nodded in satisfaction. The combination of the Emperor's chi and the power of desire allowed the Dharma form to condense dragon scales. This increased the power of the Dharma form. The Dharma form had just been condensed and appeared unusually illusory. However, the moment it was condensed, this Dharma form had already formed a mysterious connection with the entire imperial true aperture. It suppressed the void. Waves of Emperor's chi and the power of desire were continuously absorbed from the void and entered the Dharma form. At the same time, the Dharma form emitted a pitch-black divine light. This divine light penetrated the aperture and entered the surrounding flesh and blood. It continuously tempered the flesh and blood. This kind of tempering was almost non-stop. In other words, the flesh and blood around the Dharma form was constantly using the power of the Dharma form to temper the flesh and blood. It was constantly strengthening and tempering the flesh and blood, transforming it into an indestructible and immortal body. TSK, Lunatic D, do you feel it? This is the real magic of the Dharma form. When you condense the Dharma form, it automatically absorbs the Emperor's chi and the power of desire from the void and stores them into the aperture. The more Dharma idols you condense, the faster you will be able to refine your demon body. It is irreplaceable for cultivating an immortal body and entering the heavenly demon realm. Dark exclaimed excitedly. Phew! Sakura heaved a sigh of relief and nodded. I can feel that my strength is increasing, and my demon body is also constantly becoming stronger. I don't need to control it at all. It can temper itself without stopping at all. Feeling the benefits of condensing the Dharma form, his heart was filled with excitement. If he waited until the Dharma form was completely condensed and then used the Emperor's way, it would explode with incredible power. For a moment, his heart was burning with passion. Condensing the Dharma form was filled with endless motivation. Brothers, let's do this. To be continued. If you want to know more, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 587. The true dragon above his head breathed out dragon chi. The vast power of desire was endless. Although the true dragon was supporting the condensation of a Dharma power, the surface of the Dharma power had become slightly dim. However, it still contained a large amount of Emperor chi. It was enough to support the condensation of multiple Dharma powers. It doesn't matter if the Dharma power is illusory. As long as it is condensed, the Dharma power can carefully absorb all kinds of essence energy in the void to strengthen itself. The Dharma power will strengthen itself and help to temper the demon body. Now, the Emperor Chi can only be absorbed from the 2 true dragons that I got from Zhu Wuqing. If I can be more frugal, I should be more frugal. Who knows, I might be able to condense a few more Dharma powers. All kinds of thoughts flashed through Di Shirtian's mind. In fact, to be able to condense a Dharma power so smoothly, the most important thing was the existence of the demon refining cauldron. The demon refining cauldron could fuse the true dragon chi and the power of desire into one and refine them into a talisman. Then, the talisman could condense a Dharma power. Step by step, one could condense a Dharma power in one fell swoop. Without the demon refining cauldron, it would be a big problem to fuse the 2 together, not to mention refining them into talismans and condensing a Dharma power. The energy required would be unimaginable. Di Shirtian took a deep breath. Without thinking too much, he concentrated on the second Emperor's true aperture. He started to condense the second Dharma power. This time, he had completely made up his mind to use this period of time to refine his cultivation and learn all the cultivation methods that could increase his cultivation. Condensing a Dharma power, breaking through the demon meridians, and using the divine essence to strengthen the heavenly punishment divine eye. He hoped that the divine eye would be able to obtain the instant of youth. Then, he would let Ming help him make up for the various cultivation knowledge that he lacked. This process of accumulation was what he had always wanted. 500 years? Who can suppress me for 500 years? Di Shirtian thought of the demon mountain that was pressing down on his head, an endless fighting spirit rose in his heart. This demon mountain did not wear down his willpower. Instead, it stimulated his desire to become stronger. In the third heaven, in the demon city, countless demon clans were working in full swing to contribute to the demon city. After obtaining a large number of treasures from the myriad treasure Scarlet Tide, the materials for refining divine crystals were almost endless. Under the forging of the 7 orifices exquisite pot, the divine crystals were piled up into several mountains. In the smithing pavilion, Huang Quan and Tian Can were doing their best to refine the 4 heavenly gates. All sorts of rare materials were poured in without any hesitation. He could already vaguely see the embryonic membrane of the divine gate. In an empty space in the ancient city, 100,000 terracotta soldiers were lined up neatly. They formed an army brazenly, exuding an austere aura. Di Shirtian's forces were growing at an unbelievable speed. Every demon was cultivating diligently, accumulating every bit of strength they had. The exquisite treasure pagoda was a place blessed by the heavens for cultivation. It was simply something that ordinary people couldn't even dream of. There was no reason for the group of demons to not work hard when they knew the value of this treasure. Let's not talk about Tion silently accumulating his strength and waiting for the moment when the demon city was completed. However, when he crossed the void and entered the demon realm, when he inexplicably participated in the demon battlefield. In fact, after he left, there was also a development in the Godsfall abyss. Tion crossed the void with the heaven-connecting yin-yang bridge. He left the abyss. Then, the Crimson Tide completely erupted. Under the deterrence of countless soldiers in the Crimson Tide, even the 10 immortal sects couldn't do anything else. They could only watch as countless treasures entered the treasure bowl and the money tree. However, this time, as the biggest winner of this Crimson Tide, Tion officially fell into the eyes of these higher-up. Not to mention the news of the existence of heavenly demons in the demon race spreading, under the deduction of the Heavenly Secrets sect, Tion's identity was exposed on the spot. Especially the location of his foundation, the Southern Barbarian, also fell into the eyes of countless people. At this moment, outside the Southern Barbarian, in the void, there were no less than hundreds of thousands of immortals standing in the air. They were stepping on auspicious clouds. One by one, they looked at the Southern Barbarian with excitement and greed in their eyes. These people had all advanced to the immortal realm. The strong one, the leader, was actually an immortal emperor. This immortal emperor was also somewhat famous in the heaven realm. He was an ancient giant with exquisite poison skills. He was simply a character who was feared by everyone. He was respectfully called Myriad Poison Venerable. However, he didn't belong to any sect. As a rogue cultivator, he had advanced to the ancient giant and was also a great legend in the heaven realm. However, his temperament was both good and evil. It was difficult to distinguish between good and bad. If he was not pleasing to the eye, he could make 1,000 miles of land barren and turn into a poisonous area. If he was pleasing to the eye, he might give the other party a good fortune. This kind of person was the most difficult to deal with. In particular, he was greedy by nature. As long as he saw something good, he would use all kinds of means to get it. Southern Barbarian? The Myriad Poison Venerable was dressed in a green robe. He had a pair of triangular eyes. The light in his eyes flickered. He looked like a hibernating poisonous snake. He glanced at the Southern Barbarian. The clouds in the Southern Barbarian couldn't block his vision. There was a strange light in his eyes. It is said that this is an ancient battlefield in ancient times. Countless gods and demons fell here. It was an important place of the demon clan, but it has long been abandoned. I didn't expect that there would be a divine demon hidden in such a place. There must be a big secret hidden here. Tion has plundered countless treasures. Once he returns here, if I can seize them, the huge amount of treasures will be enough to support me to become a peerless expert. Thinking of this, a touch of greed flashed in the eyes of the Myriad Poison Venerable. At any time, plunder was the most fundamental nature. The 10 immortal sects deduced the approximate identity of Tion. However, they didn't directly invade the Southern Barbarian. Instead, they strangely spread the news, which made countless itinerant cultivators yearn for it and gather there out of greed. They wanted to get a share of the Southern Barbarian. The 10 immortal sects spread the rumor. It could be said that they wanted to use the power of itinerant cultivators to test the situation in the Southern Barbarian. Then they would make other plans. I heard that there is a divine demon in the Southern Barbarian who plundered countless treasures in the Crimson Treasure Tide. Any one of them can increase our value by 100 times. I heard that when the divine demon was snatching the treasures, he was severely injured by the 10 immortal sects with their sect-guarding divine weapons. At this moment, he only has 20 to 30% of his cultivation left. A mere monster wants to enjoy those boundless treasures. It's simply wishful thinking. We humans are the protagonists of heaven and earth. Logically speaking, the treasures should belong to us humans. Hundreds of thousands of us gathered in the southern barbarian. I don't believe that we can't kill that monster. Among the itinerant cultivators, countless discussions sounded, and there was no lack of charm in their words. After all, in the abyss, Shirtian's actions were too fierce. Charge in! Waves of tyrannical divine thoughts completely shrouded the southern barbarian and scanned every inch of space. After finding no threat, the greed in their hearts could no longer be suppressed. They came down from the air and wanted to rush into the southern barbarian. Humph! However, at this moment, the myriad poison venerable snorted coldly. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of itinerant cultivators quieted down. One by one, they all looked at him. Obviously, this operation was led by him. The myriad poison venerable glanced at the southern barbarian coldly. He laughed strangely and said, "A mere southern barbarian can give birth to a divine demon. I'd like to see what's so magical about the southern barbarian. If we're going to play, let's play big. I'll first make the southern barbarian. On the spot, all the itinerant cultivators couldn't help but tremble in fear. They all stopped their footsteps and left the southern barbarian far away, afraid that they would be mistakenly killed by the myriad poison venerable. Whoosh! The green robe on the myriad poison venerable's body fluttered without wind. An array of dark green divine light soared into the sky and directly rushed into the void. Rumble! In the void, a green cloud flashed out of thin air. After this green cloud appeared, it quickly spread in all directions and instantly enveloped the entire southern barbarian. For a time, the southern barbarian was shrouded in a layer of shadow. With a whoosh, raindrops fell from the sky crazily. The raindrops were very strange. They were dark green raindrops. Crossing the void, it made a terrible chee-chee sound. It landed on the towering ancient trees of the southern barbarian lands. Immediately, the green leaves of the trees, which were originally full of vitality, emitted white smoke after the raindrops fell on them. They withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was as if all the water was drained in an instant and corroded in an instant. Countless plants began to wither. Countless animals died instantly in the poisonous rain on the spot. An aura of death hung over the southern barbarian. The grayish-white color quickly spread everywhere at a speed visible to the naked eye. There was no doubt that if the poisonous rain continued like this, the entire southern barbarian would completely become a barbarian land in a short time. Barbarian. Buzz! However, at this moment, in the myriad demon valley, a loud roar suddenly sounded. In the valley, a huge tombstone rose into the sky. It instantly soared into the sky. Countless mysterious prayers appeared on the tombstone, and the extremely strong cold air swept in all directions in an instant. Crack! The poisonous cloud in the air bore the brunt and was frozen into ice crystals on the spot. It fell down. Mysterious ice covered the mountains and forests. In the southern barbarian, all kinds of trees were frozen in an instant. The cold air swept across the southern barbarian. The 100 poison venerable was in the southern barbarian. Most of the cold air emitted from the tombstone rushed toward him. It was so fast that even he couldn't dodge it. Almost in the blink of an eye, it came to his side. It didn't give him any chance to react. After being covered by the cold air, the 100 poison venerable was frozen in an instant. A venerable, an ancient giant, had no resistance in front of the tombstone. Bang! The ice sculpture of the 100 poison venerable fell in front of the southern barbarian, and all the vitality disappeared. In his eyes, there was a touch of uncontrollable horror. The tombstone also disappeared in the blink of an eye. The southern barbarian turned into an ice domain. It was completely frozen. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 588. The entire southern barbarian was completely frozen in an instant. On the ground, layers of sparkling ice crystals condensed and covered the earth. The ancient trees were frozen and turned into ice trees, lifelike. All kinds of creatures in the forest were also frozen and turned into ice sculptures, turning the entire southern barbarian into a strange ice domain. In the sky, snowflakes danced. They floated down. The most terrifying thing was that in front of the entrance of the southern barbarian, the figure of the 100 poison venerable stood in front of the forest and turned into a lifelike ice sculpture, taking root and connecting with the southern barbarian. On his face, the panic was still clearly visible. One could imagine how horrified he was when he was frozen. Even resisting did not change his fate of being frozen. At the same time, among the hundreds of thousands of rogue cultivators, there were almost 100,000 who did not have time to retreat to the southern barbarian, or were at the edge of the southern barbarian. They were swept by the cold air and followed in the footsteps of the 100 poison venerable. They turned into ice sculptures, and even their expressions before being frozen were vivid. It landed in front of the southern barbarian, as if it was guarding this ice domain. Terrifying! Too terrifying! From the appearance of the tombstone to its disappearance, it was only a matter of a moment, but it had changed the whole area. It was as if the 100 poison venerables' act of wanting the southern barbarian to be barren and covered in death had touched a terrible taboo, causing a backlash. What's going on, my ancestor, the ancient giant, the 100 poison venerable, a powerhouse among the venerables, was frozen in an instant. Who can tell me what is that tombstone? Southern barbarian, this is the southern barbarian. Even the ancient giant died in an instant. Forbidden area, this is a forbidden area, even a forbidden area may not be so terrible. In the blink of an eye, more than 100,000 fellow cultivators died before even entering the southern barbarian. There was also a venerable. Go. We can't stay in this place. No wonder this place became the oldest ancient battlefield in the ancient times. Rumor has it that there were countless powerhouses of various races who died here, and their corpses could be piled up to the sky. Indomitable spirit. No wonder the southern barbarian could give birth to a peerless sky demon. This is a dangerous place, a terrifying place. Treasures, you have to be alive to enjoy them. This place, let the 10 immortal sects deal with it. It's not something loose cultivators like us can spy on. The hundreds of thousands of rogue cultivators who were lucky enough to survive sucked in a breath of cold air almost at the same time. Terrifying, it was really too terrifying. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't be able to understand the shock in their hearts. Even an ancient giant with an indestructible primordial spirit could be sealed without being able to resist. The dangers of this place were imprinted in their souls on the spot. Looking at the ice sculptures standing in front of the southern barbarian, each of them felt a chill in their bones. It was as if they had seen a ferocious beast. They all turned around and fled into the distance. They were afraid that if they were a step slower, they would follow in the footsteps of the 100 poisons venerable. They fled abnormally fast. There are treasures in the southern barbarians. The news of many itinerant cultivators entering the southern wilderness was spread by the 10 immortal sections. Although they wanted to use the greed in the cultivators' hearts that could not be suppressed to test the situation of the southern wilderness. However, spying in the dark was unavoidable. In the void, who knew how many hidden experts were secretly watching? Seeing the tombstone with their own eyes, the hearts of countless experts couldn't help but tremble. Almost at the same time, the same thought appeared in their minds. That tombstone was too powerful. It was so powerful that even the ancient giant couldn't compete with it. Could it be that there is a peerless expert of the demon clan hidden in the southern wilderness, the supreme demon god? There is still a demon god in the demon clan who hasn't fallen? A shocking guess emerged in their hearts. The scene just now had truly shocked them. There were only two possibilities that could cause the situation just now. One was that there was a peerless expert hidden in the southern wilderness, the supreme demon god. The second was that the southern wilderness could be called a fierce place, and there was a supreme treasure hidden in it. No matter which possibility it was, the meaning contained in it had incomparable value. The spying eyes in the dark did not decrease. However, the news about the southern wilderness spread in all directions in an instant, and even in all the worlds in the universe. At this moment, no one found that in the frozen southern wilderness, there was still a place that was not frozen. It was still green inside. That place was the southern part of the southern wilderness, in the myriad demon valley. The myriad demon valley was hidden in the myriad soul-devouring bones painting. Looking from the outside, the surface was no different from the other frozen areas. What one saw was also the scene of being frozen. In fact, it was not. Under the cover of the formation map, the inside was a completely different scene. In the valley, the vegetation was still delicate and beautiful, exuding vitality. However, the myriad demon valley, which used to be lively, seemed a little lonely at the moment. In the valley, there were mostly some spirit beasts moving around. But the demonic beasts, or even the transformed demon clan, were not seen. The buildings that used to stand in the valley had long been moved away. Compared to before, it was too desolate. In front of the waterfall in the valley. But there was a beautiful scenery standing there. A tall and perfect body, dressed in colorful clothes that set off the curves of the figure, a beautiful black hair draped behind the shoulders. Looking up at the void, snowflakes drifted down in the void. Medusa withdrew her gaze as if she had obtained something. She muttered to herself, "Mother sent me to the southern barbarian lands the moment I was born. All along I did not understand. But now I understand a little. The southern wilderness really hides a big secret from ancient times, especially in the ancient ruins underground. It actually gives me a kind of familiar power. It has been attracting me to go there." She muttered to herself, and her eyes seemed to be thoughtful. A strange light flashed through her eyes, as if she had made a decision in an instant. With a wave of her hand, a passage appeared on the ground in front of her. She moved her feet and slowly walked into the passage. Her figure disappeared. In addition to the myriad demon valley, there was another place in the southern wilderness that was not affected by the ice. On the withered bone wilderness, the incomparably evil myriad bone-devouring trees emitted a demonic light. These were the trees of utmost evil that were completely made up of the skulls of living beings. Looking at the skulls in the trees, there were specks of green light. It was chilling. Croak, croak. A hoarse and unpleasant chirping sound came from the strange trees from time to time. This made the wasteland seem even colder and gloomier. The underworld raven was the most evil creature in the world. When the underworld raven was less than 10,000, it was invincible. At this moment, on the largest myriad bone-devouring tree, the underworld raven king, which was hundreds of feet in size, spread its wings and swept the wilderness with cold eyes. What? A high-pitched chirp came from the underworld raven king's mouth. The sound was so sharp that it covered the entire withered bone wilderness in an instant. Woo-woo! As if accompanied by the underworld raven king's cry, all of the 10,000 bone-devouring trees in the entire wasteland suddenly emitted a strange whistling sound at the same time. The 9,999 soul-devouring trees, scattered across the wasteland, all emitted a strange evil light and began to tremble violently. Each soul-devouring tree occupied a strange position. They trembled at the same time and connected with each other, forming a strange connection. It was as if all the soul-devouring trees were completely connected at this moment and became a whole. Rumble! The vast wasteland began to shake violently as well. Woo-woo! Countless remnant souls of gods and demons were roaring. From the wilderness, a grayish-white aura of death emerged like a tide. The wilderness was like a swamp, continuously emitting the aura of death. Once the aura of death appeared, it immediately gathered toward the myriad bone-devouring trees. In an instant, it gathered toward the largest myriad ancient soul-devouring emperor tree in the center in a strange way. It quickly poured into the underworld Raven King's body. The underworld Raven King stood on the crown of the tree as countless aura of death gathered. The power on its body was unparalleled. It was like a gray sun that symbolized death. It was as if it was undergoing some kind of inconceivable transformation. On a mountain peak, a golden lion king with 3 heads silently observed the surroundings. There was a strange and mysterious color in its eyes. It was as if it could see the future, predict everything, and see through people's hearts. It was so deep that one could not help but be immersed in it. The great era has finally arrived. The opportunity for our demon race to rise has also appeared. The dazzling Emperor Star is slowly rising. It emits boundless divine radiance. The Golden Lion King slowly spat out these words. Then, with boundless mystery, it turned and left, disappearing. It went into hiding. There seemed to be endless secrets in the southern barbarian. Time flew by like an arrow. In the blink of an eye, a year had already passed. In the demon battlefield in the underground world of the demon realm, under the 5-fingered demon mountain, the Linglong treasure pagoda was still emitting waves of bright divine light. 6 in 9 heavenly tribulation, break for me. In the Linglong treasure pagoda's 4th heaven, black tribulation clouds covered the sky, and the vast power of the tribulation clouds intimidated the surroundings. The space in the surroundings was twisting and turning. Countless lightning bolts danced wildly, turning the entire void into a doomsday scene. Under the tribulation clouds, Di-Shir-Tion was wearing a black robe, and the tiger soul in his hand was slanted to the ground. On the tiger soul, a pitch-black divine tiger looked down at the sky. Its awe-inspiring power was accompanied by a deep tiger roar, causing the surrounding space to be annihilated. An invisible aura actually caused the space to be unable to withstand it. Upon closer inspection, the tiger figure in the tiger soul was no longer illusory. Instead, it was a physical existence. Di-Shir-Tion's emperor's aura became even more intense. Crack! With a twist of his wrist, the tiger soul drew a bright arc in the void, following the trajectory of heaven and earth, and drew out a long saber light. The saber cut into the tribulation clouds. A handsome black tiger with black wings on its back appeared in the tribulation clouds. Instantly, endless golden saber chi exploded, rampaging. Everywhere it passed, the tribulation clouds were cut into billions of pieces. Roar! The tiger roar followed closely behind, causing countless ripples in the void and shattering the scattered tribulation clouds. Whoosh! Di-Shir-Tion opened his mouth and sucked in the void, and the scattered energy in the tribulation clouds was instantly swallowed into his stomach. Grade 7 Black Lotus, 6th Refinement Beast Core. Ancient Demon King, I am at the peak. Something happened today, and I'm in a bad mood. I'm so depressed that it affected my condition. Sigh, I'll see when I can get ready to erupt. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 589. 150 Years, 6th Refinement Stage Monster Core. The Black Lotus in my body has evolved to the 7th grade, and my body has grown to 2,000 feet. My desire to see has been fully realized, and my monster meridian has been opened. Today I have finally laid the foundation to climb to the peak. Clang! With a twist of his wrist, the tiger soul's sharp edge disappeared, and he sheathed the saber. He stood up and stood in the void as if he was walking on flat ground. His clothes and black hair danced in the wind, and every strand of his hair contained boundless monster power. His eyes shone brightly, shooting out rays of light. The space in front of him turned illusory, and a purple light flashed between his brows, emitting a threatening aura. The sharpness of the divine light seemed to have accumulated to a peak. His body shook. Roar, roar, roar. The void behind him turned illusory, and rays of divine light rushed out from his body, forming domineering Dharma idols behind him. They looked like black tigers, but they were covered with a layer of fine dragon scales. A total of 36 Dharma idols flipped around behind him, and the aura of dragons, tigers, and overlords burst out from them. Sakra's figure, under the contrast of the Dharma idol, became even taller and more majestic than before. Tsk lunatic D. Inside the Linglong Treasure Pagoda, you can be said to be blessed by the heavens. The treasure that Zua left for you is something that even peerless powerhouses would covet. Only a year has passed outside, but inside the Linglong Treasure Pagoda, a full 150 years have passed. In these 150 years, your foundation has been completely established. You have also broken through the various barriers with your own efforts and reached the 6th refinement stage, the peak of the ancient Monster King realm. You are just a step away from becoming a great monster. Dark laughed arrogantly. 150 years. In the outside world, only a year had passed, but in the pagoda, Di Shirtian had experienced 150 years. During this long time, with Dark by his side, he had completely filled in the various cultivation experiences that he lacked in the past. He had even formed 36 Dharma idols. Each of Ju Wuqing's 2 true dragons allowed him to condense 18 Dharma idols. Each Dharma idols was in charge of one emperor's true aperture. At this moment, 4 demonic veins in his body had condensed Dharma idols. In these 150 years, he broke through the divine splendor of his demonic veins, condensed his acupoints, and accumulated his true force. In one fell swoop, he reached the peak of the 5th transformation of his Yaodan and broke through the 6th demonic vein. Then, he would pass the heavenly tribulation desire realm and advance to the 6th transformation of the Yaodan. The results were remarkable. Greater demon? A strange light flashed in Di Shirtian's eyes as he muttered, "It's easy for me to become a great demon." However, the source seed of the world has already been upgraded to a high-grade one. If it isn't perfect, I won't be satisfied. Indeed, even if he wanted to become a big demon now, it would only take a single thought. As long as he consumed the source of the world and borrowed the power of the world within it, he would be able to become a big ancient demon without any obstacles. However, it wasn't easy for the source seed of the world to be upgraded from low grade to high grade. If he couldn't upgrade it to perfection after consuming a large number of source of life seeds, he wouldn't be able to do anything. No matter what, he was still unwilling to give up. A perfect source seed of the world. A peerless treasure that had never appeared in the world before. No matter how much he desired strength, Di Shirtian didn't want to waste all his previous efforts at this crucial moment. Thinking about the source seed of the world, Di Shirtian's heart stirred as he thought to himself, "The only thing to worry about is the heaven's punishment that will appear when the time comes. The heaven's punishment will definitely be terrifying. Without being fully prepared, I can't act rashly." "That's right." Ming also agreed, "although I guess that your Eye of Heaven's punishment might be related to the legendary Heaven's punishment, this matter is too important. We can't place all our hopes on the Eye of Heaven's punishment. At least, we have to wait until the Demon City is completed. With the ancient city as the foundation. Only then will we have the confidence to try." This matter had to be taken seriously. At this moment they were already closely linked. One's loss, one's glory. Boom, boom. At this moment, 2 figures rushed out from the 3rd level of heaven. 2 figures, one black and one white. They were as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, they entered the 4th level of heaven. When they saw Di Shirtian standing in the void, they bowed respectfully and said, "Your Majesty, Huang Quan Tian Can." Have the 4 heavenly gates been completed? Dishur Tian glanced at them and asked with a dignified expression. Tian shook his 2 long, snow-white eyebrows and said excitedly, "Your Majesty's wisdom is unparalleled. Huang Quan and I have spent countless precious materials and successfully completed the 4 heavenly gates 3 days ago. Although it's not as powerful as a real connate spiritual treasure, it's comparable to a peerless treasure." There was a trace of excitement in his voice as he spoke. Moreover, the terracotta soldiers and horses have been completed. There are 100,000 terracotta soldiers and horses and 18 terracotta generals. With divine crystals as the bodies, all of them have been completed. We just need to wait for your Majesty to use the secret method. Take this unparalleled army for your own use. Huang Quan's eyes lit up as he spoke. Demon City obtained a huge amount of materials from the treasures your Majesty plundered from the 1,000 treasures Crimson Tide and refined them into abundant divine crystals. With the help of the demons, the ancient city has been completed. Only the various buildings, palaces, mansions, and houses in the ancient city have not been built yet. The demon city can be considered to be completed. We just need to place the 4 heavenly gates in the east, west, north, and south. Then the ancient city can erupt with infinite power. Tian Can's eyes were filled with yearning. 150 years, in this long period of time, was enough for the Linglong Treasure Pagoda to undergo tremendous changes. The terracotta soldiers and horses have been completed. When Dishur Tian heard this, the light in his eyes instantly burst out to 30 feet away, directly piercing through the void in front of him. The space was constantly annihilated, and a strong pressure flashed and quickly disappeared. From this, one could imagine how much importance he had in his heart. He said happily, "Good, good, good." After 3 consecutive good words, he said without hesitation, "The demon city needs a peerless ferocious weapon to guard it. Only then can it unleash the unparalleled power of the ancient city, suppressing the myriad of worlds." After hearing this news, Dishur Tian's entire mind was instantly focused on the terracotta soldiers and horses. Originally, before Tian Can, Huang Quan, came, his plan was to break through to the 6th cycle of the Yao Core realm, and his essence, energy, and spirit were at their peak to blast open the door to the 5th layer of the Linglong Treasure Pagoda. According to his calculations, the 5th layer of heaven's shocking treasure trove left behind by Purple Moon was very likely to be hidden there. Once he obtained it, it would be an immeasurable amount of wealth. In addition to the treasures he plundered from the 1,000 treasures Crimson Tide, his throne as the 2nd richest man in the world would be unshakable. Dishur Tian took a deep breath, calmed down the excitement in his heart, and said in a deep voice, "Let's go, follow me to the terracotta army battle formation." In the 3rd layer of heaven, a vast and majestic divine city that exuded boundless ancient charm appeared between the heavens and the earth. Looking at its appearance, it was like an ancient god that was in a deep slumber, and its entire body was shrouded in a layer of obscure and mysterious aura. Even so, standing in front of the ancient city, one could not help but feel an extremely strong sense of oppression. One could not help but feel like one had to lower one's head for no reason. Good, good, good. Dishur Tian looked at the ancient city, and his heart was filled with excitement. However, in an instant, he felt a boundless killing intent from the ancient city that seemed to want to slaughter everything. It was overbearing and unrestrained, like an unparalleled ferocious beast. Just by feeling a trace of its aura, one could touch a kind of aura of death. A terrifying shadow shrouded his heart. Kill, kill, kill. Although there was no sound in the void, Dishur Tian could clearly feel the violent killing intent contained in the boundless killing intent in his mind. The sounds of killing shook the ancient times. The pure killing intent was like a flood or a ferocious beast that could destroy any powerful existence. Vaguely, there seemed to be an unparalleled ferocious beast in the void. If one's state of mind was slightly weaker, one would be instantly swept into the boundless killing intent, assimilated, eroded, or even destroyed on the spot and died instantly. Tsk tisk. Nether resided within the nether prison, and she couldn't help but cry out when she sensed the extremely fierce killing intent. This killing intent is terrifyingly pure. As expected of a clan of slaughter that was born from the boundless killing intent in Godfall Abyss. The soldier soul is the soldier soul after all. If it wasn't for your terracotta army that trapped them in the crystal terracotta body and prevented them from escaping, I'm afraid they would have broken out of the seal and slaughtered the entire heaven and earth. The crystal terracotta is the reason why the terracotta army is so strong. It's also the fundamental method that I used to imprison and restrain them. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have dared to put them in the ancient city. Sakra calmly spat out a sentence, but within his words there was a kind of strong confidence. That's right. With your intelligence, how could you leave behind any hidden dangers? Tsk. The terracotta army is completed. Now, all you need to do is to use the century slave seal to completely subdue this peerless heavenly soldier. Ming nodded and praised. They entered the ancient city. In the city, there were still a large number of demons who were busy everywhere. They were either setting up various formations, setting up restrictions, or carving patterns, etc. They were contributing every bit of strength to the perfection of the demon city. However, although there were many demons in the ancient city, when they approached the west, they deliberately moved to the side and forced their way to other places. As they looked, there was a vast open space in the west. Lifelike terracotta army, each of which was 3 meters tall, were lined up neatly with sparkling divine light all over their bodies. They were arranged into a terrifying battle formation, and there was a strong killing intent reverberating around them. Especially the 18 terracotta army soldiers at the front, each of which was 30 feet tall. They each held different weapons in their hands. The terracotta army soldiers looked cold, but the most terrifying and violent evil spirits were hidden in their cold bodies. It was just that the evil spirits were restrained by the bodies and could not be released. What a great soldier soul! Shirtian closed his eyes and quickly scanned the many terracotta army soldiers with his divine thought. He could feel the murderous intent of all the soldier souls in the terracotta army, and his eyes could not help but shine. I will have an invincible evil weapon, an extremely firm voice echoed in the ancient city. It was very difficult for me to write this chapter. While I was frustrated, I didn't want to disappoint my brothers who were waiting for me. It took me more than 4 hours. It's so late, I don't have the face to ask for vote. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 591. Soldiers. Ferocious. An army without murderous intent and ferocious spirit was just a decoration. An army was born to kill. The meaning and value of their existence was to kill. The amount of murderous intent in an army represented its true strength and ultimate combat effectiveness. The soldier's soul was the spirit, and the crystal terracotta soldiers were the body. The soldier's soul was a race of slaughter born from slaughter. Only slaughter was above all. The crystal terracotta soldiers were made of divine crystals, which were beyond the 5 elements. They were magical treasures outside of the 5 elements. Even divine weapons could hardly leave a mark on them. If the two could be combined into one, their combat effectiveness would be strong enough to shock all the world. The most amazing thing was, the crystal terracotta soldiers contained Shirtian's power of faith. They imprisoned the soldier's soul in the terracotta soldiers and used the power of faith to subtly change the soldier's soul's consciousness, causing the two to slowly merge. When the 100 generations slave seal is used, it will not resist the power of the slave seal. In the end, it easily subdued 100,000 terracotta soldiers. Nurtured for 100 years, Finally, it was time to witness the birth of a peerless murderous weapon. Are you ready, Nether? Success or failure depends on this. Standing in front of the terracotta soldiers and feeling the fierce murderous intent emanating from them, Tion stood proudly. He glanced at them one by one without dodging. Don't worry, Madman D. The century slave seal has long been ready. Nether raised his huge dragon head confidently and waved his dragon claw. A purple ball of light, the size of a soccer ball, appeared in Nether prison. It disappeared in an instant and appeared in front of Tion. Upon closer inspection, one could see strange talismans flying and circling in the ball of light. Each talisman seemed to have a mysterious power. Upon closer inspection, even one's mind could not help but be sucked in. Counting them carefully, there were exactly 10,018 talismans in total. Tion's eyes lit up when he saw it. He reached out a finger and gently touched his forehead. Good! Swoosh! The heavenly punishment divine eyes opened in an instant, and a mighty divine power swept across the sky. A purple divine light shone on the light ball in front of him. Suddenly, the light ball began to disintegrate rapidly, and turned into 10,018 century slave imprints that hovered in the divine light. 100 generations slave imprint upon thy body. Body and soul become one. With me, invincible. My decree. The divine light of heaven's punishment shone from the left to the right like the morning light and landed on all the crystal figurines in front of him. Every time the divine light landed on a crystal figurine, a talisman would fly out from the divine light and rush into the crystal figurine's glabella, turning into a mysterious seal. In an instant, all 10,018 crystal figurines had merged with the century slave seal. Retracting his divine light, Tion stared at the crystal figurine before him. Boom, boom, boom. In the crystal figurine's body, after the soldier's soul accepted the century slave imprint, it was rapidly merging with its own body. When it was merging, blood-red color was emitted from its body. The boundless murderous aura directly caused the surrounding void to vibrate slowly. The sharp murderous aura was like a treasured sword that was suddenly unsheathed from its scabbard, releasing endless cold gleams. Streaks of blood-red runes spread rapidly like meridians on the surface of the crystal-clear figurine's body. Blood figurine. Huang Quan's eyes widened abruptly. The soldier's soul is really terrifying. The intensity of its murderous aura is unparalleled. When it merged with the figurine's body, it actually turned the crystal figurine into a blood figurine. This is the real killing weapon. Once it's placed on the battlefield, I wonder who in this world can go against it. Tiancan's 2 white eyebrows kept trembling, and his heart was beating wildly in front of these combat figurines. He could smell the scent of death. Boom, boom, boom. The blood-red color on the surface of the crystal figurine instantly covered the entire figurine's body, causing all the figurines in front of him to turn blood-red on the spot. In particular, the blood-red runes on the surface of the figurine seemed to have a life of their own as they kept moving around like ferocious beasts. It was very strange. The eyes that were originally closed opened instantly. Their eyes were covered with a thick blood-red color, and even endless coldness and indifference. At the same time, a blood mark appeared between their eyebrows. The blood mark emitted a dense blood-red light, and it opened to both sides. The moment it opened, a shocking murderous aura cut through the void like a sharp sword. It sent chills down one's spine, and a blood-red eye suddenly appeared on their foreheads. They actually had an additional blood-red vertical eye. In the blood-red eye, there was a terrifying power that could annihilate heaven and earth. The Eye of Annihilation. I didn't expect them to inherit the divine Eye of Annihilation from my heavenly punishment. However, with their murderous nature and the destructive power of the Eye of Annihilation, their combat power will definitely multiply. When Tion saw the blood-red eye, a thought quickly flashed through his mind. The lifetime slave seal was very strange. It could make the other party a slave for 100 lifetimes, and they would never regret it. They were the most loyal servants. However, at the same time, they would also inherit a divine ability from their master. At this moment, the 100,000 figurines had inherited the Eye of Annihilation at the same time. Annihilation, the main destruction. It had the most terrifying killing power. Now that it had merged with the figurines, it could be said to be like adding wings to a tiger. Bang, bang, bang. The 100,000 figurines opened their eyes. When they saw Tion, they took 3 steps forward in unison. Smack! Under the lead of the 18 figurines, all the figurines pushed a golden mountain and a jade pillar and faced Tion. With a bang, they knelt down on one knee and said without any emotion, "Your Majesty." Although there were no superfluous words, there was an unshakable firmness in their voices. These were the men of sacrifice. From today onwards, you are my subordinates, the blood-killing guards. Guard the demon city. Tion spat out a sentence cautiously. As soon as the words blood-killing guards came out, the air was filled with a tragic killing intent. Yes! The 18 blood-killing generals responded in unison. I will bestow upon you the art of war. Tion directly imprinted the art of war deduction into the minds of the 18 blood-killing generals with his demon consciousness. The eyes of the generals flickered with bloody light as if they were rapidly absorbing all kinds of military knowledge. A moment passed, only to see that 8 of the blood-killing generals were divided into 4 directions, walking towards the east, west, north, and south respectively. There were 2 blood-killing generals in each direction. At the same time, 3,000 blood-killing guards followed behind them. They appeared in front of the heavenly gate, one on the left and one on the right, standing upright like door god, guarding the 4 heavenly gates. The rest of the blood-killing guards were spread out, guarding the heavenly gate. The rest of the blood-killing generals rushed to the most important places in the ancient city. In front of the Lingxiao Palace, 2 guards were sent out. In the Jade Pool, 2 more guards were sent out. In front of the Imperial Treasure Vault, 2 more blood-killing generals were sent out. The last 4 guards stood in the center of the ancient city. The blood-killing guards also spread out, bringing the entire demon city under the control of the blood-killing guards. No matter what happened in the city, they could react in an instant. However, after each of them appeared in their own positions, whether it was the blood-killing generals or the blood-killing guards, they all closed their eyes at the same time, their bodies motionless. The murderous aura around them was restrained. There was no sign of life at all. They were like lifelike statues. Although they were mighty, at first glance they would definitely not pay too much attention to them. TSK. Each of the 100,000 blood-killing guards is comparable to a demon saint. Especially after obtaining a body, their combat strength is even more powerful. 100,000 demon saints are stationed in the demon city, plus 18 blood-killing generals who are even more terrifying than sky demons. In this short period of time, Lunatic D, you already have a powerful foundation that is almost comparable to the accumulation of the 10 great immortal sects for countless years. Ming's eyes lit up. Once such strength was released, even the 10 great immortal sects would be overshadowed. Tian Can, Huang Quan, placed the 4 heavenly gates. Tion took a deep breath and ordered Tian Can, Huang Quan, who was behind him. Yes. Without any hesitation, the 2 elders agreed in unison. Tian Can's body trembled a little, which was caused by excitement. The 4 heavenly gates were his and Huang Quan's meticulous masterpiece for 100 years. They were supreme treasures refined by them. Your Majesty, please take a look. Tian Can stretched out his palm. In his hand, bursts of snow-white divine light flickered. With a light toss, 4 white lights rushed into the void. Countless snow-white auspicious clouds emerged out of thin air. In the clouds, the 4 heavenly gates appeared in front of them. The 4 heavenly gates were hollow in the middle. There was no closed door that could be passed through. On top of it, countless mysterious cloud patterns appeared, setting off an ancient charm. In the middle, there was a crystal-clear ancient mirror. Around the ancient mirror, there were 5 grooves. It seemed to be used to fit something. At this moment, in the 5 grooves around the ancient mirror, one of them was embedded with a snow-white flawless marble. The marble and the heavenly gates were perfectly fused together without any gap. It caused an incredible power to appear in the heavenly gate. A fake was a fake after all. It couldn't be compared to a real connate spirit treasure. It required 5 types of divine stones to have great power. Sealing stone, heaven sealing stone, heaven sealing stone, heaven sealing stone, void annihilation stone, and immortal stone. Each had divine power. That marble was the sealing stone of the 5 types of divine stones. It fused with the heavenly gates, causing the heavenly gates to have the power of sealing. Anyone who passed through the heavenly gates would be sealed on the spot once they were discovered to be an enemy. On the 4 heavenly gates, mysterious ancient seals appeared: East Heavenly Gate, West Heavenly Gate, North Heavenly Gate, and South Heavenly Gate. 4 of the 5 types of divine stones are missing. The heavenly gates are incomplete. D. Shirtion glanced at the heavenly gates and couldn't help but say thoughtfully. After pondering for a moment, he shook his head and said, "The ancient city has been completed. Now we can only place the heavenly gates on it first. When we find other divine stones in the future, we can re-inlay it and slowly complete it." For this matter, no matter how smart he was, there was nothing he could do. 5 types of divine stones, each of them was a rare treasure that could only be encountered by chance. Even if he plundered the 10,000 treasures red tide, he couldn't find them. It was difficult to cook without rice. However, the most important thing at this moment was to complete the demon city. Placing the heavenly gates was imperative. 4 heavenly gates, integrated into the ancient city, protect the 4 directions, everlasting and immortal. Imperial. The first update has been delivered. Today I said the 3rd update and I will definitely do it. Brothers, please give me some encouragement. Monthly vote. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidian.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 592. Boom, boom, boom. The 4 heavenly gates shook violently in the void, shattering the surrounding white clouds. Countless mysterious cloud seals appeared in the heavenly gate. Each cloud seal was like a white cloud, pure and flawless. The heavenly gates that served as a foil had a natural and sacred aura. It was both mysterious and vast. They surrounded each other and spun violently. After 9 revolutions, they turned into 4 streaks of white light and landed in 4 directions of the demon city. The structure model of the ancient city was refined using an incomparably precious treasure in heaven and earth, the embryonic membrane of heaven and earth. It had an extremely strong defensive power. At this moment, in the 4 directions of the ancient city, there was an illusory heavenly gate standing in each direction. It emitted an ancient charm. It naturally emitted endless majesty. However, the heavenly gates looked extraordinary, but it was ultimately illusory. It was unable to unleash its true supreme power. Boom, boom. At this moment, the 4 streaks of white light instantly descended and merged with the remaining illusory heavenly gate. The heavenly gates merged with the embryonic membrane of heaven and earth. On the spot, waves of vast heavenly might swept out in all directions like a tide. Rumble. The moment the heavenly gates were placed, the entire unparalleled ancient city seemed to have completely awakened at this moment. The entire ancient city suddenly shook violently. The ancient city, which was large enough to accommodate tens of billions of living beings and was as vast as several Earths, shook. On the spot, the surrounding void did not even have the slightest resistance and was annihilated with a bang. Countless spatial faults appeared around the ancient city. They were constantly healing and reincarnating in annihilation. Streaks of divine light bloomed from every inch of the ancient city. The divine crystal was crystal clear and rippling with crystal light. Under the contrast of the divine light, it completely formed an incredible crystal ancient city. Countless mysterious talismans emerged from the ancient city. The incomparably huge ancient city, amidst the thousands of divine lights, actually floated up inch by inch out of thin air. The demon city, our demon city, is rising, the unparalleled divine city above the 9 heavens. We have built it, we have succeeded, the ancient city has begun to fly. Haha, the holy land of our demon clan, the true foundation, the supreme foundation that can protect our demon clan from ancient times and pass down our legacy forever. His Majesty is everlasting. Our monster race finally has a foundation. With this unrivaled divine city, let's see who can bully us in the myriad of worlds. With this ancient city, even the ancient giants can be suppressed and destroyed. This is where we will live in the future. It's too majestic. The demons in the 3rd heaven all gathered outside of the ancient city and watched as the demon city of myriad demons emitted a boundless divine radiance. It rose inch by inch from the ground, as if it wanted to soar above the clouds. Each and every one of them shouted excitedly. Every inch of the ancient city was the result of their hard work. An indescribable sense of pride swirled in their hearts. A kind of sustenance was quietly growing. Around the ancient city, the energy of heaven and earth, as well as all kinds of yuan qi, surged toward the demon city. In an instant, the entire ancient city turned into a terrifying black hole that devoured all the yuan qi in the world. It was like a small sapling that was crazily absorbing all the nutrients it could get from the world. While devouring the vitality, the ancient city continued to rise rapidly into the sky. Outside the city, auspicious clouds clustered together. They circled around. In the blink of an eye, it was already above the clouds. Looking up from below, the entire demon city was looming in the clouds. There were no city walls, but there were 4 simple and unadorned gates that stood in all directions. At a glance, it was like the king of the ancient city. It was majestic, imposing, simple, and majestic. Just by looking at it, one could not help but want to submit to this city. I want to build an unrivaled demon city. How can there be no restrictions? God trapping sphere, come out. Di Shirtian felt that the moment the demon city was perfected, the entire ancient city had completely become natural, crazily devouring the yuan qi of heaven and earth. At the same time, the city seemed to have become an existence that was independent of heaven and earth. The ancient city was separated from heaven and earth, forming a cave of its own. It merged with heaven and earth, absorbing endless yuan qi. For a time, the yuan qi of heaven and earth in the demon city increased crazily. In an instant, it was so rich that it reached an incredible level. Just by taking a breath, one could swallow the purest yuan qi of heaven and earth. The density of the yuan qi was rising to the peak of the acquired yuan qi. Once it reached the peak of the acquired yuan qi, this place would truly become a holy land. Even if a pig was thrown into the city and did not know how to cultivate, it would transform into a spirit beast, a demonic beast, or even a demon in a year or 2. However, Di Shirtian did not lose his mind because of this. The demon city was just a preliminary completion. If he wanted to make the ancient city have the power to suppress all the worlds in the universe, the restrictions were absolutely necessary. Yes. Quickly take out the god trapping sphere that we got from the exchange on Ling Long Celestial Island. That is an earth-level god trapping sphere. The divine restriction inside is enough to kill an ancient giant. 9 heavens 10 earths god slaying demon annihilating seal. TSK, this restriction is absolutely overbearing. Dark licked his lips and cried out in anticipation. Back then, he had paid a great price in Ling Long's celestial island and exchanged the source of life for the god-trapping sphere. What was the reason? It was all for the demon city today. Although the ancient city had a deep foundation, it still needed a powerful killing move. The god-trapping sphere came from the forbidden land of the 9 forbidden lands. It nurtured a supreme divine restriction inside. Moreover, the divine restriction inside was the mysterious 9 heavens and 10 earths god-slaying and demon-slaying restriction. According to the records, once this divine restriction was activated, it could transform into the 9 heavens and 10 earth. Within this range, any intruder would be slain. A crystal ball that was only the size of a fist appeared in front of him. Looking at the crystal ball, there were countless threads shuttling back and forth, intertwining with each other and weaving countless mysterious trajectories. Every single strand seemed to possess great power. Boom, boom, boom. Deshurtian moved his mind. Suddenly, the ancient city shook violently, and a pitch-black 7th-grade black lotus appeared from the ancient city. The black lotus appeared, and it was thousands of feet long. Circles of ripples appeared on the surface of the black lotus. This black lotus was formed by a strand of his primordial spirit when he was building the ancient city. It completely merged with the ancient city. If the ancient city was a body, then the black lotus was the primordial spirit of the ancient city. Therefore, Deshurtian stood in the city, and he was the supreme emperor. He was undefeatable. Seeing the black lotus appear, he waved his hand without hesitation and pressed the god-trapping sphere onto the black lotus. Crack! The black lotus trembled violently and burst out bright lightning. In the blink of an eye, it was covered by a dense layer of lightning. With a loud bang, it merged with the demon city. Rumble! When Black Lotus returned to the ancient city, he saw that the entire ancient city was shaking violently. Terrifying sounds of thunder could be heard all around the ancient city. Millions and millions of lightning dragons were roaring. They surrounded the ancient city and turned it into a terrifying lightning prison in an instant. Hundreds of millions of thunder roared and rushed into the sky above the ancient city. They coiled together and turned into a thundercloud that covered the sky. Moreover, this thundercloud was not just one layer. After it appeared, the thundercloud kept stacking up until it formed 9 layers of thundercloud. The higher it went, the thicker and more terrifying the thundercloud was. From the bottom to the top, the thunderbolts produced by each layer of thunderclouds were different. For example, the lowest layer gave birth to the 5 elements divine lightning. Above that was the yin-yang divine lightning. Above that was the divine devil-bane lightning. They all got stronger and stronger until the topmost layer gave birth to the god-slaying lightning. Demon-slaying lightning. Once one got close to the thundercloud, it would trigger the thundercloud's bombardment. Thousands of thunderbolts would descend, and one would be blasted to pieces on the spot. Below the ancient city, there were bursts of earthy yellow halos. Layers of underground worlds were formed under the ancient city. There were a total of 10 layers of underground worlds called the 10 Earth. Inside, endless lightning was nurtured. If one fell into it, one would not be able to escape easily. In the blink of an eye, one would be blasted to death by hundreds of millions of lightning. 9 heavens and 10 earths. Deshurtian retracted his gaze and looked at the ancient city under his feet. There were countless lightning bolts crazily shuttling through the divine crystals on the ground, covering every inch of the ancient city. It made the restrictions in the ancient city many times stronger. One could clearly feel the 9 layers of thundercloud in the sky and the 10 layers of underground worlds below the city. They were all closely connected to the Thousand Fiend City. They merged into one. The restrictions gave birth to the void. The Earth-rank God-restricting sphere is indeed a rare treasure in the world. With this divine restriction, the power of the Thousand Fiend City instantly increased by more than 100 times. This divine restriction will also carefully absorb the essence energy in the void to strengthen itself. The lightning inside will also become stronger. No, if you can get the connate spirit treasure in the forbidden land of the 9 great forbidden lands, the forbidden red lotus, if you can get it, you can merge the forbidden red lotus with the 1,000 fiend city. Even an unparalleled expert will not be able to move the ancient city. Ming seemed to have fallen into a crazy reverie. When Di Shirtian heard this, a bright light flashed in his eyes. His gaze became deep again. He said calmly, "In the 9 great forbidden lands, every one of them is a top connate spirit treasure. It is not something we can pry into at all. Let's talk about the future in the future. What we can do now is to make the ancient city as strong as possible." He looked at the ancient city and said, "Now, the 4 heavenly gates replace the city walls. The 9 heavens and 10 earths god-slaying demon-slaying restriction protects the city. The stellar devil seal tablet draws in the power of the stars. It allows the ancient city to fly in the air. However, this way the ancient city can't move at full speed. It seems that we have to put the matter of refining the fake cloud-gathering banner on the agenda. Also, we have to refine the lightning-gathering tower in the ancient city. With the heavenly thunder platform as the foundation, we can gather the power of the heavenly thunder and nurture the divine thunder. When attacking the enemy, we can use thousands of divine thunder to kill the enemy. After careful calculation, the ancient city was only in its initial stages. There were too many things that needed to be improved, especially the problem of the ancient city's movement. It was also very important. The second update has been delivered. Let's continue with the 3rd chapter. Brothers, when you're reading, throw in a few monthly tickets. Little D is accumulating strength and is about to go crazy. Give it some strength. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 593. This is the end of the 3rd update. Brothers, you're awesome. Lightning Tower? What's that? When Ming heard this, he was a little puzzled, as if he couldn't immediately understand. Do you still remember the heavenly lightning tower that we taught Demon King Peng and the others to refine back then? Di Shirtian's face revealed a trace of confidence as he said meaningfully, "If we transform the heavenly lightning tower into a lightning tower and let it have the ability of the heavenly lightning tower to gather the power of lightning between heaven and earth, gathering countless primordial chi and nurturing thousands of divine lightning in the tower. When released, it will definitely have a destructive power that can shock heaven and earth and make ghosts and gods weep." Right now, he was thinking of all kinds of ways to increase the strength of the demon city. In his imagination, it was fine if the demon city didn't appear, but once it did, it would have the vast power to deter all the worlds in the heavens and intimidate boundless evil. Otherwise, if such a peerless ancient city appeared, if they didn't have the ability to possess it, they would definitely attract countless spies. Who knows, they might plot against them somewhere. If they didn't arm the demon city to the teeth, wouldn't they disappoint those spies in the dark? The heavenly lightning tower was a treasure used to gather lightning and cast the purple thunder rain. When placed in the 9 heavens, it could gather the power of lightning on its own. It could be said to be miraculous. At this moment, if he used the refining method of the heavenly lightning tower to refine a lightning tower, it would be a terrifying offensive weapon. Moreover, there have to be a lot of them. If there are 100,000 of them, even a supremacy will be annihilated if they attack together. Di Shirtian's words were cold and indifferent. Those who dared to invade would all be killed. TSK, lunatic D, you are indeed crazy. If you really succeed, I'm afraid the entire demon city will become a huge porcupine. Whoever touches it will die, Ming cried out. The demon city floated in the void at a height of 30,000 feet. It was motionless. A huge amount of primordial chi surged into the city, constantly pushing the primordial chi in the city to the peak of postnatal primordial chi. Divine light descended and guided the demons into the city. Not to mention the excited scene of the demons. They found the heavenly silkworm and Huang Quan elders. The two elders' cultivation had already recovered to the demon saint realm after recuperating in the exquisite pagoda. However, he had yet to fully recover and return to the heavenly demon realm. Witnessing the unparalleled power of the demon city, the two elders stood in front of Di Shirtian with even more respect. Although the myriad demon city can fly in the air, without the cloud-gathering banner, the difference in speed is too great. Tian Can, you were once friends with Tian Jizi, so you should know about the cloud-gathering banner. Di Shirtian's eyes shone with divine light as he glanced at the two elders and said solemnly, the real gathering clouds banner had only appeared in the ancient times. After the ancient times, it had completely disappeared. I'm afraid it would be extremely difficult to find. Therefore, they could only replace it with a fake. I wonder if this cloud-gathering banner can be refined. The cloud-gathering banner was also a primordial spiritual treasure, and a defensive one at that. With a shake of the banner, it could gather countless auspicious clouds to protect one's body. Even a peerless powerhouse would find it difficult to break through. If one were to use it to escape, it would be unbelievably fast. It was quite famous in ancient times. Unfortunately, it had long been lost after the ancient calamity. A hint of hesitation appeared on Tian Can's face. He didn't immediately agree. Do you have any difficulties? Di Shirtian was shrewd enough to understand the gist of things. He asked, if there's anything, just say it. This seat isn't unreasonable. Your Majesty, Tian Can bowed respectfully. This old servant has seen the cloud-gathering banner with my own eyes in the ancient times. I even had the interest to borrow it and study it for 3 years. Your Majesty knows that although this old servant didn't possess any primordial spiritual treasures in the past, I've touched many of them with my own hands and refined no less than 100 fake ones. I've refined one myself in the ancient times. His voice was full of pride when he spoke of his glorious deeds in the ancient times. Is it because you lack materials? Di Shirtian knew that Tian Can was definitely a grandmaster in the world of artifact refinement. There were probably only a handful of people in the world who could match him in artifact refinement. In the ancient times, even primordial spiritual treasures, which were born from the chaos, could be forged using all kinds of materials. Just these 4 heavenly gates alone were enough to prove his proficiency in refining artifact. It was forged according to the gates of heaven in the forbidden grounds of heaven. It was comparable to a supreme treasure. As for the cloud-gathering banner, he had already refined a fake one in the ancient times. He must have been very familiar with the process of refining. Now, he was acting like he was in a difficult position. Obviously, he had run into trouble with something else. Your Majesty is wise. Tian Can said with a grave expression, the might of the cloud-gathering banner is connected to the clouds. To refine it, one of the most important materials is the heavenly cloud crystal essence in the forehead of the heavenly cloud beasts born in the clouds of the 9 heavens. This kind of sky cloud crystal essence can only be obtained when the sky cloud beast with a lifespan of 1,000,000 years is exhausted. It's a rare and precious treasure. The sky cloud beast was a kind of strange beast born from the clouds. Its body was like the clouds, able to gather and disperse. Moreover, the older it was, the smaller its size. For example, the size of a newborn sky cloud beast was usually hundreds of thousands of feet. It could cover the sky and the sun. As they grew older, their bodies would shrink with every year they grew older. Their bodies would become even more condensed. When they were 100,000 years old, a hexagonal crystal would grow on their forehead. It contained all of their essence. However, if one wanted to kill them and steal their crystal, it would be like drawing water with a sieve. Once the sky cloud beast died, the crystal would naturally dissipate. Only when the sky cloud beast died naturally would all of its essence be condensed into the crystal to form this miraculous treasure, the sky cloud crystal essence. It was also known as the sky cloud soul essence. There were countless treasures in the imperial treasure vault, but there was no such thing as the sky cloud soul essence. Without it, the cloud-gathering banner couldn't be refined. It was no wonder Tian Can was in a difficult position. Tian thought for a moment, then said, "The cloud-gathering banner must be refined. Leave the matter of the sky cloud soul essence to me. Also, the lightning congregating tower." At this moment, only Tian Can and Huang Quan were at his side. When he told them about the lightning congregating tower, the two old fogies understood on the spot. They excitedly rushed into the forging pavilion. They began to study how to refine the lightning congregating tower. After all, Tian only proposed a concept and direction of refining. It still needed to be perfected before the lightning congregating tower could be truly refined. After arranging all kinds of things, the city was left to who to handle. Tian turned and entered the Jade Pool to visit his mother, White Tiger, and his sister, Little White, who was also Ling. White Tiger's mother was still in a deep sleep and couldn't wake up. Little White was in the Jade Pool borrowing the power of the obliteration pill to transform. It turned into a huge white egg and sank to the bottom of the Jade Pool. It absorbed a huge amount of nutrient. Exuberant vitality was clearly emitted from the egg. Its tyrannical aura was not inferior to that of a demon king. It could be seen that she didn't waste her time. Seeing White Tiger in a deep sleep, Tian's eyes flashed with pain and cold killing intent. That Thousand Beasts sect actually used such a vicious method on my mother. They poisoned her primordial spirit. This debt, even if I chase it to the Thousand Beasts realm, I will make them pay. He took a deep breath and forcibly suppressed the pain in his heart. That hatred was engraved in his bones. When he thought of what happened to his mother, the anger in his heart almost burned his entire body. It was fine if his mother's mind was not clear. After all, with his methods, playing the heart-cleansing Bodhi song day and night could slowly wake her up. In the wine god's treasure mirror, there were many spiritual wines that could recover one's mind. For example, soul-returning wine, soul-nourishing wine, sky-heart-dew wine. They all had the power to nourish the mind. But the most despicable thing of the Thousand Beasts sect was that they actually poisoned the primordial spirit. This poison was incomparably vicious. In the world, it had a name that made countless experts tremble in fear: soul obliteration. Usually, when it was hidden, it was impossible to detect. Once it erupted, it was like a bone moth that couldn't be removed. Under the corrosion of this insidious poison, the primordial spirit constantly dissipated. In the end, the primordial spirit was destroyed. There wasn't even a chance to reincarnate. When he saved White Tiger back then, he was naturally anxious to completely wake her up. He didn't expect that after returning, White Tiger's primordial spirit would constantly shrink. If it wasn't for Chun Shi's instant of youth that set up a restriction, preventing time from passing on her body, White Tiger would have long ceased to exist. Crazy D, I'm afraid only the Thousand Beasts sect has a solution to this soul obliteration poison. The most important thing now is to strengthen our own strength at all costs. Now that the Thousand Beasts city has been built, we can escape from the Thousand Beasts realm. Once we are out of trouble, I don't believe that we can't find a way to cure the poison. Licking his lips, his huge dragon eyes flashed with a fierce light, with a hint of bloodlust. That's right. Tian's eyes flashed with a cold light. He nodded and raised his spirit. Looking at the void, he said, "Let's go, we'll blast open the door to the fifth heaven." Endless expectations emerged in his heart. He turned and crossed over to the fourth heaven. The treasury left behind by Purple Moon had always been where he looked forward to the most. When he entered the treasury back then, he saw with his own eyes how huge the treasures in the treasury were. It was Purple Moon who gathered the last remaining treasures of the demon clan to form such a vast treasury. The treasury was divided into 3 levels. Back then, he only saw the first level. From the beginning to the end, the 2 levels above must contain even more precious treasures. Maybe I can find the 5 types of divine stones and even the heaven cloud soul essence in the treasury. Thinking of this, his heart became more and more expectant. Entering the 4th heaven. Scanning the void. He shouted, "Stairway to heaven, appear!" Rumble. The void shook and thousands of divine lights bloomed. In the divine light, a snow-white stairway to heaven condensed. There were only 9 steps on the stairway to heaven, but it crossed the void and extended to the door of an ancient pagoda. The door was tightly shut. Countless divine runes appeared, exuding an ancient charm. Blasting open the door would lead to the 5th heaven. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 594. Bang! Sakura stood in front of the sky stairway and glanced around. His eyes were filled with determination. Without any hesitation, he stepped onto the sky stairway. The moment he stepped onto the sky stairway, countless runes flashed from the sky stairway. Suddenly, the divine light that was wantonly scattered was instantly retracted and disappeared. The entire sky stairway exuded an ancient and dignified aura. It was as if a deity from ancient times was examining himself. A formless pressure poured down, exerting itself on his shoulders. It was unusually heavy. Humph! Shirtyan's feet did not move, and his body did not shake. His expression was resolute, and his black hair danced wildly behind his head. However, his aura was extremely calm, natural and restrained. It was as if he did not feel the pressure outside him at all. It was as if he was walking on flat ground. It was unimaginably easy. The pressure outside did not affect him at all. Bang! 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 Heavy footsteps could be heard one after another. Sakura stepped on the heaven stairway abnormally casually as he walked up. Every step he took seemed relaxed and natural. Every time he went up a level, the pressure would increase once, but it didn't stop him at all. The indestructible bones of the immortal body, the 36th Dharma Laksana, and the 6th transformation of the monster core. This stairway can no longer stop you. If I had come here when I was at the 5th transformation of the monster core, it might have caused you some trouble. Now it is like a gentle breeze. Dark looked at Sakura with satisfaction as he climbed up step by step without stopping. He couldn't help but stroke his dragon beard proudly and shouted, "Quick! Blast open the door and see what kind of treasure is waiting for you in the 5th heaven of the exquisite pagoda." Shirtyan was too powerful. The Linglong Treasure Pagoda had a total of 9 levels. To open each level required a corresponding level of cultivation. The first level could be easily opened by a first Revolution Demon Core. Now, the 5th Revolution Demon Core was blocking the way. Only those who had reached the 5th Revolution Demon Core were qualified to step on the heaven stairway and break open the door. However, only those who had reached the 5th Transformation Monster Core could rush up the stairway and blast open the door. Compared to Shirtyan, the stairway of heaven could no longer stop him. Step by step, he climbed the 9 heavenly steps. Relying on his tyrannical demonic body, he reached the top in an instant. Rumble! The stairway to heaven trembled violently before it turned into countless rays of light and disappeared. Xiao Chen stood in front of the huge pagoda door and stared at it for a long time. He felt a heavy aura coming from the door, a vast pressure that roared and wanted to blast him out. Shirtyan's body glowed with a treasure light, blocking the pressure. He endured it, but his body did not move at all. "Open!" He formed a hand seal with his hand, and the talisman with a fiend god pattern among the 4 talismans in the Black Lotus shook slightly, and a fiend god power instantly condensed in his hand. Along with the hand seals, a simple and ancient seal was formed. The ancient seal danced and emitted a boundless power that shook the surroundings. He casually grabbed the ancient seal. Then, he slammed his palm against the door. Boom! The ancient seal was like the sky, and it was as mighty as hell. When the seal landed on the pagoda door, it was as if thousands of fiend gods were roaring and unleashing endless power to push the pagoda door at the same time. The tightly shut pagoda door was blasted open on the spot. Ripples appeared in front of him like a layer of water screen. Poof! Tion, who had experienced it before, did not hesitate. He stepped forward and directly passed through the light screen in front of him. Suddenly, the scenery in front of him changed abruptly. In front of him was still a vast and boundless world. White clouds floated in the void, and the ground was undulating with mountains and plains. If he did not know better, he would not have thought that he was only in the space of a pagoda, but an independent world. It was not much different from the other worlds. Tsk, Ziyu is indeed Ziyu. A treasure like the Linglong Treasure Pagoda would make even the most powerful experts jealous. It can actually give birth to a world. Dark scanned the surroundings. There were no living creatures in this world. It was as if the seal was only lifted the moment the door was blasted open. The vitality in the world was even richer than in the 4th heaven. Quick! Look at the sky. Dark scanned the entire world with his divine consciousness and suddenly shouted. Tion raised his head and looked up. A strange light flashed in his eyes as he said, "It's the Spider Lily Island." On the island, the beautiful spider lilies at the edge instantly awakened the memories in his mind. Back in the heavenly demon's secret realm, the rolling Huang Quan sacred river separated the sky, and the heavenly Yinyang bridge spanned across the void. The ancient bridge's final destination was the Spider Lily Island. The Spider Lily Island was extremely huge. At a glance, it was almost as huge as Earth in his previous life. On the island, ancient trees towered into the sky, exuding an ancient aura and containing endless divine light. It was extremely dense and covered most of the island. A strange fog inexplicably spread out on the island. It blocked one's vision. The stones on the ground were peerless jade, and the trees were 10,000-year-old wood pith, rare spiritual materials. The grass on the side of the road was 10,000-year-old spiritual medicine. However, on the island, there was an inexplicable evil aura faintly emitting. It was as if it contained some kind of deadly monster. On the island, there were treasures everywhere. Natural treasures could be seen everywhere. Back then, after Silverhair, the Blood Dragon King, and the others left the treasury, they found many rare and precious treasures on this island. To put it bluntly, by an island was a treasure island. It was rumored that this island was the legendary treasure bowl. However, with the existence of the fallen god's abyss, this rumor was naturally nonsense. However, it could also show that this island contained a huge amount of treasures. So the 5th heaven's treasury is actually this island. Tion saw it and took a deep breath. Although he was slightly disappointed when he realized that it was not a treasury, it did not affect his mind. This island alone was a vast treasure trove. Although it's not a treasure trove, it will be a great opportunity for our demon city to strengthen our foundation if we take it under our control. I will take it into the city later. Lunatic D, are you crazy? Do you know what this island is? Ziyu, could it be that she is really that person's daughter? A supreme treasure that has been extinct in ancient times has actually appeared here. You are rich, Lunatic D, you are going to be rich again this time. When Dark saw Tion's expression, he couldn't help but shout crazily in the nether prison. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws, roaring, "This is the 9-heaven breath soil, the legendary chaotic breath soil. The first divine soil in the world. You don't know what is good for you. This island is more precious than the source of life in your hands. 9 heaven breath soil? Tion didn't care about Dark scolding. He felt as if a huge thunderbolt had struck his mind. There were only a few divine soils in the world, but the 9 heaven breath soil was the first divine soil in the world. Its position was unshakable because it was the only supreme treasure born from the chaos. The soil contained the essence of the chaos. It was the mother of all things. Any heavenly treasure, even if it was withered, could be revived once planted on it. It glowed with exuberant vitality. As long as they were planted with the living soil of the 9 heavens, their growth rate would increase by 100 times, and the quality of the spirit essence itself would increase by another level. Its medicinal properties would be stronger. What was more amazing was that just 1 grain of the breath soil could turn into a mountain out of thin air. A fist-sized grain of the breath soil could even fill the sea in an instant. You're saying that this island is the legendary 9 heaven soil of breath. Tion's eyes shone brightly, as if it was going to pierce through the entire void. He had seen the second divine soil, the 5-colored divine soil, with his own eyes. The 5-colored divine soil contained endless essence of the 5 elements. Although it couldn't be compared with the 9 heaven breath soil, it was still a rare divine soil. Most of the spirit was planted on the 5-colored divine soil. It could survive. He knew how magical the 5-colored divine soil was. It definitely had endless power of creation. If it was the 9 heaven breath soil in front of him, its value would be immeasurable. Dark used to roam freely in the ancient times. How could I be wrong? Dark snorted and said, "There is chaotic chi in this by an island. It is no different from the 9 heaven breath soil. How could I be wrong? However, this isn't the most primitive breath soil. It is an island formed by the breath soil. There should be 10 to 100 grains of the 9 heaven breath soil in the island. The breath soil is hidden in the island. Find it. Didn't you get the innate spiritual root, the peach of immortality tree from the money tree? The 5-colored divine soil could only preserve its vitality. It couldn't let it grow normally and bear peach of immortality. With the breath soil, the peach of immortality tree can become a real innate spiritual root. It can give birth to a supreme treasure. Tion was lost in thought, but he didn't rush to the island to search for the 9 heaven breath soil. On the island, he could feel an extremely dense fiendish aura. Besides, the entire island was a rare treasure. It was a living treasure trove. Since the island is here, I don't have to worry about it running away. Let's break open the 6th heaven first. Indra shifted his gaze away, staring at the void. He could sense the flow of time in this heavenly layer. Compared to the 4th heavenly layer, the flow of time here was much faster. In the 4th heavenly layer, the flow of time was 150 times faster, while in the 5th heavenly layer, the flow of time was 200 times faster. He wasn't satisfied with breaking open the 5th heaven. His goal was the 6th heaven. Good. The breath soil of the 9 heavens is in the 5th heaven. According to what you said, the only thing left in the Heaven Fae secret realm is the Heaven Fae treasure vault. There is a 90% chance it is in the 6th heaven. Dark was excited. The higher one went, the more valuable the treasures were. Now that there was the breath soil of the 9 heavens, there must be something even more valuable in the treasure vault. Boom. Boom. At the same time, in the sky above the fiendish demon battlefield outside the Linglong treasure pagoda, the world was suddenly covered by darkness. A profound scene appeared in the void, and a terrifying vortex appeared. I can't take it anymore. I'll make up for it tomorrow. I'll update it tomorrow. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 595. Kill. The whirlpool in the air spun intensely, causing the surrounding space to distort. The sky turned dark, looking like a terrifying abyss amid the darkness. Overwhelming demonic chi immediately poured out in all directions. It was like a strong wind sweeping through the entire fiendish demon ancient battlefield. That pitch-black demonic chi was so dense that one could see it with the naked eye. Roar! Countless roars filled with violence came one after another, wildly erupting from the whirlpool like a flood. In the blink of an eye, the demonic chi filled the entire fiendish demon ancient battlefield. The vast demonic chi almost covered the entire heaven and earth. A terrifying demonic aura spread out in all directions. The whirlpool trembled intensely as if some terrifying demonic being was struggling to emerge from it. Oh no! It's the fiendish demon ancient battlefield. At a mountain peak riddled with holes in the fiendish demon world's underground world, there was a huge cave abode there. This cave abode was connected to the outside world, extending in all directions. The entire mountain peak had at least hundreds of thousands of holes connected together, making it even more difficult to figure out than a maze. Inside the cave abode, the golden-robed, baby-faced man with a murderous aura was sitting inside. He was the one who said those words earlier. Furthermore, aside from him, Chen Shi, the great rock fiend king, and the other fiend kings sat beside him. These were all familiar faces. There were also two unfamiliar faces. One of them was a woman. She was extremely coquettish, and her beauty was only slightly inferior to Chen Shi. However, her waist was swaying slightly, and a seductive temperament exuded from her body. It was enough to charm all living things. If she were to appear in the secular world, any emperor would want to make her smile. She was so beautiful that she could cause the fall of a city. This made one unable to extricate themselves from her lust. One could not help becoming engrossed in her. No matter how one looked at her, she looked like a delicate and lovable woman. She did not show anything strange on the surface, but she was on equal footing with the great rock fiend king. This showed that this woman was extraordinary. There was also a 3-year-old boy. This boy was extremely adorable. His face was very young and tender, as if he was carved from jade. He really looked like a child. There was an innocent expression on his face. Draped in a snow-white robe, she was truly innocent and radiant. Do the demon gods of the demon god continent have nothing better to do? A year. It's only been a year since the last war, yet they've opened up the tunnel again so quickly and resumed the war. Even if they treat the demon realm as a whetstone, there should be a limit to their training ground. If I don't show my power, do they really think I, Xie Sanyang, am a sick cat? Xie Sanyang, who was originally charming, raised her eyebrows and emitted a murderous aura. She stood up angrily. The Demon God clan has always treated the demon realm as a training ground. Every once in a while, they would send a batch of demonic beasts and demon gods into the battlefield, using the demon realm to hone their army. According to the usual practice, after a war, the tunnel will only be opened again after at least 100 years. Blissful Boy frowned and said, "Could it be because the Demon God clan was defeated on the battlefield last time? I'm here for revenge." Although there was nothing he could do. However, they had long known the true meaning of the demon battlefield's existence. This battlefield was simply a place for the Demon God clan to train their army. If not for this, even if the Demon God continent had not finished accumulating power and had the ability to devour the purple gold continent, they would still be able to wipe out all the demon race in the demon realm. It was not difficult. So what if they understood? The demon race could not afford to lose their inheritance. No, this time, the Demon God clan is probably here to vent their anger. King Nightmare stood up, his eyes shining with wisdom and depth. He said, "Last time, the Demon Emperor schemed against the Demon God clan's Demon Emperor Chi Tian and killed him on the spot, provoking the shrouding Heaven Great Emperor. It's clear that Chi Tian's identity is not to be underestimated. Although the Demon Emperor was suppressed, it did not eliminate their anger. This time, they're back, mixed with anger. Their attack will be even more terrifying. He spoke leisurely, figuring out the general situation in just a few words. Demon Emperor? When this title was spoken, there was no one who could refute it. Demon Emperor Di Shirtion. Although Di Shirtion only had the cultivation of an ancient demon king, his feat of shocking the entire demon realm in the demon battlefield a year ago was imprinted in the minds of many demon kings in the demon realm almost instantly. That kind of monstrous battle strength made the void tremble. Even the sun and moon dimmed. Especially when he killed a demon emperor as a demon king. Such a feat it made the demon race feel a sense of admiration. When they thought of him, they had to look up to him. The title of Demon Emperor naturally fell on him. Furthermore, none of the demon race members had any objections to this. Almost at the same time when they heard it, they completely approved of it. Even Huluzi and the others silently agreed. The Demon Emperor is now suppressed under the five-fingered Demon Mountain by the shrouding Heaven Great Emperor. The Demon Mountain is connected to the heavens and earth, and is guarded by the Demon God of Great Destruction. If we can rescue him from the demon battlefield, we might be able to reverse the situation, the Blood Flood Dragon King said after some thought. Although the 8 demon kings were not the strongest in the demon realm, their cultivations had all reached the peak of the great demon realm under the power of the Bodhi treasure tree. During this period, their demon essence was growing at an unprecedented speed. The Rock Demon King, who had the highest cultivation, reached the 6th refinement realm in a short time, the peak of an ancient demon king. The others, such as the Blood Flood Dragon King, the Ancient Demon Tree King, the Dream Demon King, and Bai Hu, had all successfully reached the 5th refinement realm and continued to advance to the next realm at a rapid speed. Furthermore, each of them had a strong background. Their potential was immeasurable. In addition, they were from the Purple Gold continent. They represented the demon race on the Source continent. Hence, they were not looked down on here. When they entered the Fey realm and saw that the Fey kings were just pawns fighting in the front lines, the emotions in the hearts of the Fey king and the others were almost indescribable. The pride of standing at the top of the Fey race on the Source continent was shattered on the spot. They were not even qualified to enter the demon battlefield. If Di Shirtion had not appeared out of nowhere, if he had dominated the battlefield, the reputation of the demon race on the Source continent would have been thrown into the Huangquan River. How could they not stand up for him? Yanxia King, Bai Zian, gently stroked the green bamboo in her hand. She raised her face, which was bare, as if she did not care about anything, and said softly, "The demon emperor must be saved." Xie Sanyang, blissful boy, the demon god race is aggressive this time. They are obviously not kind. Huluzi emitted a layer of blood-red murderous aura. He said coldly, "Do the demon god race really think that the demon realm is easy to bully? I have decided. Our demon realm has 8 million demon kings, 30 million lesser demons, 1 demon saint and 3 sky demons. We will teach them a lesson. Our demon realm is not a lamb to be slaughtered." A murderous intent flashed across Blissful Boy's young face. He nodded and said, "I agree." "Ha ha." Xie Sanyang chuckled and said, "It's been a long time since I tasted the demon god's blood essence." She stuck out her small tongue and licked her lip. She was full of seductive charm. Mother, Chen Shi's mood sank. The scene of seeing his mother again appeared in his mind. Endless hatred emerged in his heart. Then, his husband was sealed under the demon mountain. His murderous intent toward the demon god race instantly soared. He raised his head and ordered outside, Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise legions, listen up. Get into the battle formation and prepare to fight the demon god race. After receiving Di Shirtian's order, Qi Hua and the others obeyed and came to Chen Shi's side. During this period of time, they had been quietly cultivating. Under the rich heaven and earth essence Qi of the demon realm, The 4 legions had all broken through to the second transformation of Demon Core. The commanders of the legions had reached the peak of the 3rd transformation of Demon Core. They were only a step away from the 4th transformation. They had witnessed the scene of Tion being sealed. Every one of them was filled with the desire to take revenge and wipe away the humiliation. "We obey the Demon Empress order." Chi spat out 2 streaks of scarlet flames from his nostrils and suddenly rose to his feet. He and the other commanders agreed. With a wave of his hand, the 4 legions immediately sprang into action and got into formation. They were going to condense the bodies of the 4 divine beasts to fight the demon god. Creak, creak, creak in the void, in the tunnel, terrifying cries were constantly transmitted. One could vaguely see another world in the tunnel. It was filled with boundless violence. Extremely dense demonic chi spewed out of the tunnel like a geyser. The breathing of the demonic beasts could be clearly heard. The pressure that filled the void was even more domineering. Bang bang bang. In the Linglong Treasure Pagoda, Tion had already stepped onto the stairway to heaven. In the blink of an eye, he had stepped onto the stairway to heaven. The pressure was almost tangible, like a giant grindstone, madly crushing down. The space outside Sakra's body was actually distorting under the pressure, which was abnormally terrifying. Under the black robe, the muscles all over his body undulated like dragons. It was filled with explosive power. The pressure from the 5th stairway to heaven could even crush a mountain. If it was a Yao Core 6th refinement stage cultivator, there was a high chance that they would be blasted off the stairway to heaven. They would roll down in a sorry state. Roar. Dharma idol appeared. A domineering roar that sounded like a dragon or a tiger came from behind. 36 lifelike Dharma idols danced wildly around him, stirring up the void. Vast power was emitted from the Dharma idols. Power of Dharma idols, condense into my body, Tion shouted. Instantly, the 36 Dharma idols roared, and a vast amount of power poured into the demon god's body. In that instant, he felt that the power in his body was expanding at an unimaginable speed. Boom, boom, boom. The aura emitted from the demon god's body caused the space around him to distort violently. His power rose in an instant. Peak of the ancient demon king. Great demon. Peak of the great demon, in a few breaths' time, without any external help. His power rose to the peak of the great demon king's body with just the power of his Dharma idols. My monthly votes are in short supply. Someone actually spent them. I'm going crazy. Brothers, monthly vote. Use your monthly vote. I'm going all out. Let's see if I can make it to the 4th chapter today. 1st chapter delivered. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.